Chapter 448. Someone is fighting in the wondrous mountain range. That's Xinghui. Xinghui. It's Grand Elder Xinghui. Someone is attacking Grand Elder Xinghui. Which idiot dares to attack the greatest expert of the eastern wilderness? The great elder of Qingsu. Is he tired of living? After all, even the last person known as the strongest expert of the eastern wilderness, the ancestor stone sword, along with the lifeless sword master and 4 other supreme experts, were defeated by the great elder of the Qing ruins alone. Who else in the entire eastern wilderness would dare to oppose the great elder of the Qing ruins? That's true, but Grand Elder Xinghui seems to be at a disadvantage? Ah, not good. Grand Elder Xinghui's Golden Crow divine body was destroyed. The enemy is too strong. Although more than half of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, the Golden Crow sect, and the Green Lotus Sword sect's experts had retreated, there were still many experts who remained in the wondrous mountain range. The Hunyuan Heaven sect was the main force among them. After all, Qingluan Peak was a part of the Hunyuan Heaven sect, and the Hunyuan Heaven sect was very concerned about Qingluan Peak occupying the Create-Evolve Mysterious Gate. The profits they gained from the battle were far greater than the other sections. Everyone exclaimed when they saw someone fighting Xinghui at the airport. Hunyuan Saint Venerable, Tang Sun, Wenhui Kurinyang, and the others immediately flew into the sky and looked at the void that seemed to be covered in a cocoon. Their expressions were grave. Is that Li Huchuan of the Shenxiao Sword sect? Hunyuan Saint Venerable, who had the highest cultivation and the best eyesight, immediately recognized him, and his pupils shrank. It's indeed Li Huchuan. Beside him, there's a Golden Core expert? Could it be that another Golden Core ancestor of the Shenxiao Sword sect has returned from the Heaven Wasteland world? This battleship is clearly the style of the Heaven Wasteland world. Impossible, this Golden Core expert can't be from the Shenxiao Sword sect. The spells he used are exquisite and far surpass those of the Shenxiao Sword sect. This is an expert from a large sect in the Infinite Wasteland world. Could it be that the Shenxiao Sword sect hired a Golden Core expert from the Infinite Wasteland world to interfere with the matters of the Eastern Wasteland world? The Golden Core experts of Heaven Wasteland world. These few words brought a great deal of pressure to everyone present. We can't let Grand Elder Xinghui fight alone. Primordial Chaos Holy Master looked at it for a while, and his face darkened. The next moment, he soared into the sky and rushed toward the cocoon with great momentum. The moment he got close to the cocoon, his holy body appeared. Like a meteor, he collided with the cocoon that was tens of thousands of meters in diameter. Buzz. The area attacked by Primordial Chaos Sacred Master rippled like waves in all directions. Primordial Chaos Sacred Master's attack didn't even cause the light of the cocoon to dissipate, let alone break it. Damn it! Primordial Chaos Sacred Venerable sensed the toughness of the flowing light cocoon, and his expression turned ugly. This cocoon can only be torn apart by a Golden Core Realm expert's attack. This is a battlefield specially used for Golden Core Realm experts to fight each other to the death. The others also appeared beside Primordial Chaos Saint Master, and looked at Xinghui, who was fighting the mysterious Golden Core expert in the cocoon. Their faces were filled with worry. The battle was still going on inside the cocoon. As a Golden Core expert from the UNG sect, Partridge's combat strength was undeniable. Golden Core experts had a special characteristic, which was that they were extremely powerful at the beginning of the battle. Most Golden Core experts relied on their Golden Core to defeat their targets in an extremely short period of time. Partridge had almost killed Xinghui's Golden Crow divine body with one strike. If Xinghui hadn't used the Torch Dragon divine body at the critical moment, and used the light deprivation technique to avoid Partridge's Golden Core attack, his life would have been hanging by a thread. If he only had one battle physique, even if he had a divine grade battle physique and a transcendent cultivation, he would have been in a life or death situation because of his battle physique. However, fortunately, he relied on the Torch Dragon divine body to resist the most dangerous time of Partridge's Golden Core attack. As for a Golden Core expert, if he couldn't kill the enemy during the Golden Core attack, then it would be a tug-of-war. A long tug-of-war would last until the enemy was exhausted to death, by relying on the Golden Core expert's perfect body that didn't leak any energy. Compared to exhaustion, Xing Hui, who had the 10th level recovery ability, wouldn't be worried about exhausting himself against a golden core expert. Damn it! This bastard is already so powerful that even Partridge's golden core attack couldn't kill him instantly. He only destroyed one of his divine bodies? Seeing this, Xia Tian's face turned gloomy. At the same time, he knew that he couldn't watch any longer. He knew how terrifying the 10th level recovery ability was. He immediately shouted, "Attack! Attack together! While his gold crow divine body is broken, all of us should go all out and annihilate him with the pressure of Mount Tai." Li Huchuan thought about how after dealing with the Qiankuan sacred land and the 6 paths of divines and demons, the next one Qing Su would deal with would be their Shunshao sword sect. Without any hesitation at all, when Xia Tian gave the order to attack, he had already roared out and charged out. A Class 10 sword erupted with resplendent light in the air, surging over with a terrifying pressure that reached straight to the soul. Shunshao. At the same time, Xia Tian, the young master of the Yuanji sect, manifested his divine-grade battle physique, the Kuanpeng. A divine beast, the Kuanpeng. Kill. Ha! After enduring Partridge's golden core attack, Xing Hui, who had gradually adapted to his attacks, was shocked when he sensed the momentum of Li Huchuan and Xia Tian's attacks at the same time. A divine-grade battle physique. A divine-grade Kuanpeng battle physique was definitely not weak. If Xing Hui had used his golden crow divine body, which was good at fighting and could destroy the world, he wouldn't be afraid of facing Xia Tian's Kuanpeng divine body head-on. However, the torch dragon divine body, light deprivation. In the void, the shadow of the torch dragon divine body once again shuttled between reality and illusion. Then a vast and majestic power erupted from the torch dragon divine body, as if it was tearing the universe apart, forming an extremely deep black hole. In one breath, it completely swallowed the minds of Li Huchuan and the true energy realm experts who had attacked with Xia Daoyi, causing them to be stunned on the spot. As for Xia Chen's mind, it was also affected. However, as a cool and refreshing feeling surged into his body from a strange necklace-like object, his thoughts immediately recovered. In an instant, he escaped from the strange state of being deprived of his sense of light. After breaking free, Xia Tian roared. The Kuanpeng divine body, which carried a vibrating force that could shatter the void, completely enveloped the torch dragon divine body and the space below it. Die. 8 divisions void. Rumble. Under the bombardment of the 8 divisions void, Xing Hui felt as if he was a tiny mortal facing the earth-shaking power of heaven and earth. However, unlike an earthquake that came from the ground, this kind of earthquake came from the void. The void shook 8 times in a row, and the shock waves hit the torch dragon divine body and Xing Hui's body again and again. Even though Xing Hui was under the protection of the torch dragon divine body, the vibrating force still shattered the space and swept up Xing Hui's body, causing his internal organs to turn upside down. Countless internal organs were shattered into pieces. Qi. Xing Hui spat out a mouthful of blood. In the face of an attack like the 8 divisions void that was impossible to guard against, even the torch dragon divine body could not completely protect him. Kill. As the torch dragon divine body was gradually destabilized by the 8 divisions void, Partridge followed closely behind. The sword in his hand seemed to have turned into a golden waterfall. The moment it attacked Xing Hui's torch dragon divine body, it let out a long roar that shook the void. 9 Heavens Dragon Roar. The moment the torch dragon divine body was entangled by the golden waterfall, an endless stream of dragon roars swept toward Xing Hui, continuing to shake Xing Hui's spirit. Not only was his consciousness shaken, but his internal organs, which had been injured by the 8 divisions void, were once again in turmoil. A large amount of blood seeped out from the surface of his skin. Now's the time. Dimensional slash. The moment Xing Hui's spirit was disturbed, Xia Tian let out another long roar. The Kuanpeng divine body seemed to fall from the 3-dimensional form to the 2-dimensional form. No, it did not fall into the 2nd dimension, but turned into an extremely flat and sharp blade. In an instant, it cut through the torch dragon's divine body. Accompanied by a long and painful cry, the torch dragon's divine body was cut into 2 by Xia Tian, relying on the power of the Kuanpeng's divine body. This method, Xing Hui let out a muffled groan. Just as the torch dragon divine body was about to be completely destroyed, he suddenly withdrew the torch dragon divine body into his body. At the same time, the flowing light sword shot out and instantly retreated, vainly trying to use the speed of the ninth order flying sword to widen the distance between them. Flying sword? I have one too. Xia Tian let out a cold snort. Not only did he follow closely behind Xing Hui, but the flying sword he summoned was of the 10th order. In addition, he had cultivated the divine Kuan-Peng bloodline, so his speed was simply incredible. In an instant he had already rushed to the front of Xing Hui. The Kuan-Peng divine body's wings burst out with tens of thousands of mysterious lights, each of which seemed to contain the power to cut through the void and tear apart the essence of gold. Once Xing Hui was cut by these mysterious lights, he would definitely be cut into hundreds or thousands of pieces of flesh in an instant. I can't care so much. Xing Hui's expression darkened. The golden crow divine body that had not recovered suddenly appeared again, letting out a deafening roar. At the same time, the resplendent eternal power began to condense in front of its sharp claws, and in the next moment, it exploded. The intense heat mixed with the compression of the air continuously rolled in all directions. Even the tens of thousands of mysterious lights that burst out from the Kuan-Peng divine body's wings seemed to be burned to ashes by this explosive force. The torch dragon divine body and the Kuan-Peng divine body were at a disadvantage, but the golden crow divine body? In a head-on battle, he was not afraid of anyone. Looks like I can only use my last resort. Xing Hui glanced at the completely sealed space of the cocoon, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The next moment, a pile of eternal blazing suns appeared in his hand. Not bad. Not just one. It was a pile of them. It was equivalent to more than half of the Jinwu religion's reserves for hundreds of years. Chapter 449. The Eternal Blazing Sunday. The only way Xing Hui could break out of this situation was to use the Eternal Blazing Sunday. At other times, while the might of the Eternal Blazing Sun was great, it might not necessarily be able to do anything to Xia Tian, and the others who possess Class 8, 9 or even Class 10 armor. However, in order to trap Qing Su and prevent them from escaping, Xia Tian and the others had used a special treasure that resembled a cocoon. This special treasure would greatly compress the range of the Eternal Blazing Sun's explosion, condensing the blazing power of the Eternal Blazing Sun's explosion to a radius of 10 kilometers. However, this radius just happened to be within the range of the 10 scorching heavens. The 10 suns burning the heavens was meant to absorb heat and create a powerful domain similar to the Great Sun. The stronger the surrounding heat, the more powerful the 10 suns burning the heavens, immortal technique would be, and the more significant the enhancement to the Golden Crow divine body would be. What Xing Hui was doing now was creating a combat domain that completely belonged to the Golden Crow divine body. The Eternal Blazing Sun alone might not be enough. Partridge is a level 13 Son of Chaos and has a divine art. If he uses a divine art at the Golden Core realm, his cultivation will be pushed to the level of a transcendent realm expert. Even if it's just pure energy, under the control of a transcendent realm expert, he'll still be able to create an attack as powerful as Mount Tai. The best way is to have a divine art of my own, just in case. Xing Hui split a portion of his consciousness and focused on his chaos plane. After dealing with the matter of the void-parting continent, he only had a month left to raise his chaos level and prepare for the creation mystical sect for half a month. In addition to the delays caused by the Wuji Sword sect, the Qiankuan sacred land, and the 6 paths of God and demon, he was only 10 daos away from raising his chaos level. Glancing at the many Dao-carrying items in his personal storage, Xing Hui didn't hesitate to absorb the 10 Dao-carrying items. With the help of the Dao-carrying aura in the Fortune Jade, he raised his chaos level to level 41. Xing Hui didn't have time to worry about the miraculous effects of the backtrack art. He quickly raised his divine art, which had a cooldown of 7 days, to level 4. However, the Tier 4 divine spell did not undergo any changes. Instead, its cooldown decreased from 7 days to 3 days. 3 days was enough for the cooldown to be completed. Boom, boom, boom. Xing Hui summoned the Eternal Blazing Suns and detonated them one after another. This was a powerful killing weapon that the Jinwu religion used to intimidate the Create-Evolve mysterious sect, preventing them from acting rashly. However, not long ago, the Jinwu religion assisted Xing Hui in attacking the Create-Evolve mysterious sect, and brought over half of the Eternal Blazing Suns. Because Xing Hui defeated the Create-Evolve mysterious sect too quickly, the Eternal Blazing Suns were not put to use. In the end, they fell into Xing Hui's hands, and were kept in Xing Hui's personal space. Now, it was time for the Eternal Blazing Sun to show off its might. Amidst the violent explosions, rings of light that were like scorching suns continued to explode. They were mixed with blazing flames that swept out in all directions in a mighty manner. The momentum was so great that it was enough to make any illustrious sage stage, true element stage, or even transformative stage expert's expression change. However, for the young master of the UNG sect of Heaven Wasteland domain, this level of attack was somewhat unsatisfactory. Although the armor that Xia Tian was wearing was not of the 10th grade, it was still of the upper grade of the 9th grade. In particular, when he realized that Xing Hui's attacks were mainly of the fire element, he summoned a rare treasure talisman and integrated it into his genuine qi, causing his genuine qi's fire element attacks to be greatly weakened. The attack of the Golden Crow Divine Body was one thing, but the scattered explosive attacks like the Eternal Blazing Sun could not do anything to him except make him a little embarrassed by the shock waves formed by the explosion. In just a few moments, Xing Hui had detonated 16 Eternal Blazing Suns in one breath, and still did not cause any damage to Xia Tian. Instead, it was Partridge, a gold core stage expert, who retreated repeatedly with an ugly expression. One of the true element stage experts who came with Xia Tian could not dodge in time, and was hit by 3 Eternal Blazing Suns consecutively. His battle body was scattered and he was in imminent danger. Damn it, how many of these damn things does he have? Although Xia Tian was not afraid of the Eternal Blazing Suns thrown out by Xing Hui, he was still dizzy from the explosions and immediately cursed in exasperation. Li Huchuan was even more miserable than him. Without enough defensive armor, he had to concentrate 120% of his attention to avoid the impact of the Eternal Blazing Sun's explosions. Otherwise, if he was not careful, he would end up like the true element stage expert. Hearing Xia Tian's words, he smiled bitterly and said, "These Eternal Blazing Suns are things that the Jinwu religion has accumulated over hundreds of years. The number won't be too little. Even if the number of Eternal Blazing Suns in Xing Hui's hands is not equal to all the Eternal Blazing Suns in the Jinwu religion, I estimate that he still has 30 to 40 Eternal Blazing Suns." 30 to 40 Eternal Blazing Suns. This number made Xia Tian want to curse out loud. Who invented such a ridiculous thing? Although he was disgusted by the Eternal Blazing Suns, there was nothing he could do about it. The threat of the Eternal Blazing Suns was not great to him, but it could not be said to be ignored, especially when several Eternal Blazing Suns exploded at the same time. If he dared to resist it, even the fire-resistant treasure on his body would not be able to protect him. Therefore, while cursing, he was also quickly dodging and looking for an opportunity to get close to Xing Hui again, in a futile attempt to kill him in one fell swoop. "Young sect master, we can't go on like this. According to Li Huchuan, this kid has a 10th order recovery ability. There is no doubt about the strength of the 10th order recovery ability. If we let him continue to use the Eternal Blazing Suns to tangle with us and recover his strength, I'm afraid that in half an hour, we will face Cho Xing Hui at his peak. At that time, I will use my Jindan to break his Golden Crow Divine Body and completely recover." On the other hand, Partridge, who was at the side, deeply understood the strength of Xing Hui's Golden Crow Divine Body, and immediately reminded him. Tier 10 recovery ability. Xia Chen's heart trembled. After a moment he gritted his teeth and said, "I'll go and resist his Eternal Blazing Sunday. You take the opportunity to kill him. Even if you can't kill him, you have to severely injure his Golden Crow Divine Body." "Alright, don't worry, young sect master. Even though my Golden Core power has already erupted once, I can still choose to use our UNG sect's UNG breaking technique to simulate the way my Golden Core erupts. Even though I won't be able to use my Golden Core power for the next year or two, as long as I can defeat this brat and obtain that supreme divine object for young sect master, This little sacrifice is nothing. Spirit-breaking technique. Xia Tian's heart sank. He was very familiar with the top scorer technique. The golden elixir of a golden elixir realm expert was a special state after the solidification of his true essence. The stronger the golden elixir, the stronger the divine powers that would be born in the future. Therefore, this was a realm that consumed a lot of energy. It was said that the few top geniuses who had reached the level of being able to birth divine powers were unwilling to break through to the almighty realm. This was because they wanted to make their golden elixir stronger, in hopes that they would be able to birth great divine powers, or even supreme divine powers. The Yuanji breaking technique was, in fact, the same as breaking down the solidified true Yuan. Even though it could greatly improve a golden core expert's strength, it would harm his cultivation. According to the strength of the true Yuan that was broken down, it would take 1 or 2 years, or even more than 10 years, to recover the lost true Yuan. If one was careless, the golden core would lose its stability and could even collapse, leading to qi deviation and death. Xia Tian didn't want a loyal old servant like Partridge to ruin his own future, but in order to defeat Xing Hui, he had to make this choice. Alright Partridge, don't worry. Once I sit on the throne of the Yuanji sect master, you will be my greatest hero. It's my honor, Partridge said respectfully. Xia Tian didn't try to dodge Xing Hui's eternal blazing Sunday. Instead, he roared and used the power of the Kuanpeng divine body to tear apart the power of the eternal blazing Sunday. Meanwhile, the Partridge followed behind Summer, constantly launching attacks at Qing Su. Even Li Huchuan seemed to understand that this battle concerned the survival of the Shunxiao sword sect. Therefore, he didn't care about the danger of getting close to the explosion of the eternal blazing Sunday. Instead, he tried to get close to Xing Hui and find a chance to kill him in one strike. Rumble. The violent explosions continued. When Xing Hui threw out nearly 30 eternal blazing suns in one go, he suddenly stopped. Seeing this, Xia Tian's eyes lit up with joy. No more, he doesn't have this thing called the Eternal Blazing Sunday Descend Void Prison. As Xing Hui stopped using the Eternal Blazing Sun, Xia Tian's Void Prison followed closely. For a moment, the Kuanpeng divine body spread its wings and soared, as if it had become the ruler of the void. With Xing Hui as the center, a powerful binding force formed within a 1,000-meter radius of Xing Hui, causing him to stop. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Partridge let out a long howl and used his top scorer technique and divine technique. The true Yuan in his body suddenly surged, just like when he used the power of the golden core. No, it was even stronger than when he used the power of the golden core. The golden chain seemed to be the embodiment of the laws of heaven and earth. It turned into a peerless golden dragon, roaring loudly and carrying a dragon's roar that shook the heavens and earth. It went straight for Xing Hui's weak golden crow divine body. Sword shakes the heavenly dragon. At the same time as Partridge's attack, Xing Hui's divine technique, which was at the 4th level, was also suddenly activated. The golden crow divine body, which was originally extremely weak, burst into flames, like a dim sun releasing its last glory and glory. For a moment, even the light of the sun in the sky was overshadowed. No, not for the sake of stealing. But the 7 blazing suns in the sky erupted at the same time as the golden crow divine body. The eruption of the eternal power of the 30 blazing suns, in addition to the previous heavy injuries and dispersal of the golden crow divine body, had already allowed the 10 sun-burning immortals technique to absorb enough power. At this moment, all the power poured down like 7 torrents of flames, feeding back into the golden crow divine body. As the 7 blazing suns in the void dimmed, the power of the golden crow divine body, which could be said to be radiant, skyrocketed again. The golden flames and the figure wandering in the golden flames seemed to leap out of the endless flames. Sun glory. Just like the previous head-on collision, the resplendent sun and the golden dragon that cut down the sky brazenly collided in the sky once again. Chapter 450. Rumble. A light so intense that no one could look directly at it suddenly erupted from the golden cocoon. Even primordial chaos holy master, Tang Sun, Wen Hui Kuanyang, and the others who were outside the golden cocoon were shocked by the terrifying torrent that filled the heavens and earth. This power. has already surpassed the Golden Core stage and is faintly approaching the level of a great Golden Core stage expert. You must win. Grand Elder Tsing Hui has created countless miracles. This time, a miracle will appear on him again. The honor and disgrace of our Green Lotus Sword sect depends on this battle. If Grand Elder Tsing Hui is defeated, the resource points that our Green Lotus Sword sect has occupied during this period will inevitably attract countless powerful enemies. When that time comes, we won't be able to defend these places with our ability, and we'll have to give them away time and time again. Everyone stared intently at the golden cocoon. It was so dazzling that no one could look directly at it. Everyone's hearts tightened. Wen Hui's eyes were wide open, and his heart seemed to jump into his throat. Whether the Green Lotus Sword sect would fall or soar into the sky would depend on the result of this battle. Ka. Just as the endless flames had yet to completely disperse, a loud and clear cry suddenly came from the flames. Immediately after, a huge golden crow that was more than twice as dim as before, but still contained a terrifying power, was burning with the blazing Grand Sun primordial fire. It ruthlessly grabbed a figure in its hand. As the figure screamed in pain, the Grand Sun primordial fire erupted and burned it to ashes. It's that guard. It's that Golden Core stage guard. He won. He won. Grand Elder Tsing Hui won. Grand Elder Tsing Hui killed that Golden Core stage expert. After seeing the figure that had been burned to ashes, the Jinwu religion, Green Lotus Sword sect, Hunyuan Heavenly sect and the others couldn't help but cheer at the same time. Inside the golden cocoon, the junior sect master of the UNG sect let out an unwilling scream. No! How could this be? Damn it! Li Huchuan's face was sunken as well. However, he seemed to sense something very soon. He stared at Qing Su's body of the golden crow that had completely dimmed after unleashing another round of true fire of the Grand Sun, and his eyes immediately lit up. Young master, Zhua Qingshu is already at the end of his rope. Let's attack together, and not give him any time to catch his breath. We'll definitely be able to kill him while he's still unable to use his body of the golden crow. Xia Tian, who had a pained expression on his face, was slightly startled. He carefully stared at Tsing Hui for a moment, and immediately saw through the nature of Tsing Hui's strong appearance. When Partridge used his spirit-breaking technique and divine technique, how powerful was his attack? Even though Tsing Hui was able to block that blow, his body was also extremely weak. This could be seen from the dim and lifeless body of the gold crow. As long as he could kill him before he recovered, thinking of this, the pain in Xia Xia's eyes immediately turned ferocious. Kill! Kill him! Avenge Guard Partridge! As he roared, his Kunpeng divine body slashed down again. Sharp blades that seemed to be formed from the power of space shot out from the gold crow, turning into mysterious light that almost merged with the laws of space. Ordinary people wouldn't be able to see any trace of it even if they wanted to. However, although this kind of space-like attack was mysterious, it was still just a space-cutting attack. In reality, they were just compressing the energy to the limit to create this kind of space-cutting effect. With almost no Hunyuan left in his body, Tsing Hui, who was completely supporting the gold crow divine body, didn't dare to face this space-cutting power head-on. With a flip of his hand, a total of 10 eternal blazing suns appeared and were thrown out by him. For a moment, the cocoon space, which had been somewhat dim because of the power of the 7 blazing suns, once again lit up with an intense radiance that made people unable to look directly at it. The explosion made Xia Tian and Li Huchuan, who wanted to take advantage of Tsing Hui's weakness to kill him, dizzy. While using the eternal blazing suns to bombard Xia Tian, Li Huchuan, and the few guards who came with Xia Tian, Tsing Hui was also constantly using the power of the 10 burning heavens, converting the blazing power of the flames into the power of the sun. Then, through the method of illumination, it penetrated the gold crow divine body, causing the originally empty shell of the gold crow divine body to gradually solidify. In addition to the 10 burning heavens immortal technique, his 10th order recovery ability was also continuously producing effects at this time. Inside his body, which was almost at the end of its rope, streams of Hunyuan were constantly being generated. In front of the special energy vortex of the endless realm, it was constantly expanding, multiplying and multiplying endlessly. After 10 breaths, Xing Hui threw out the last of the eternal blazing suns on his body. His Hunyuan had recovered by 20 to 30%. 20 to 30% might still be unable to suppress Xia Tian and Li Hechuan, but if it was just entanglement, it was more than enough. Li Hechuan joined forces with Xia Tian and a few other true element realm experts to continuously surround and kill Xing Hui. Powerful attacks continued to wreak havoc in the golden silkworm space, but as time passed, not only did Xing Hui not weaken, he became stronger and stronger. Originally, he had only recovered 20 to 30% of his true essence, but after an hour of bitter fighting, he had already recovered 40 to 50%. If this continued, in another 2 to 4 hours, Xing Hui would probably be able to recover to his peak state. At that time, the only thing waiting for them would be death. 10th stage recovery. 10th stage recovery. Is this the power of the 10th stage recovery ability? The more Li Hechuan fought, the more desperate he became. At the beginning, they were still able to beat Xing Hui to the point where he couldn't retaliate at all, and could only rely on hiding to survive. But now, he was actually able to gradually counterattack, and the strength of his counterattack was getting stronger and stronger. But on the other hand, this transcendent realm expert, the strength in his body had yet to reach the level of endless growth, and after an hour of bitter fighting, his true essence was already somewhat exhausted. Damn it, although the 10th stage recovery ability is powerful, it's not like I've never seen it before, but it's definitely not to this extent. His current recovery state is not only at the 10th stage, but also at the 11th, 12th, or even the 15th or 20th stage. In terms of true essence recovery, ordinary cultivators with the 10th stage recovery ability are probably not even half, or even 1/3, of his. Xia Tian, the young sect master of the UNG sect, felt more and more aggrieved as the fight went on. Unless he could kill this kind of cockroach-level monster with full recovery ability with one slap, when the two sides entered a stalemate, the victor was already decided. There's no chance of winning if we continue fighting like this. Xia Tian also felt a wave of regret. If he had known that Xing Hui would grow so quickly, he wouldn't have brought along such loyal subordinates in order to keep it a secret. If he could have brought a few more golden elixir realm experts, why would he be like this? In fact, even if he didn't bring enough golden elixir realm experts, if they didn't encounter the attacks of sea beasts and birds on the way, causing him to use the original extreme sword talisman that his father gave him to save his life, he wouldn't be in such a sorry state. Ultimate sword talisman. That was a terrifying talisman that could instantly kill an ordinary golden elixir realm expert. Unfortunately, there weren't so many ifs. Looking at Xing Hui, who had recovered a little, even though Xia Tian was unwilling, he could only growl, "Let's go." In the next moment, he waved his hand, and the golden ginseng cocoon that had been imprisoning this space immediately retracted, and was directly absorbed into his body. He turned around and left. Go. The victor hasn't been decided yet. How can we just leave like this? Xing Hui's voice sounded from behind Xia Tian, and then his figure moved forward. The golden crow divine body swept out a mighty and blazing torrent of destruction. In the blink of an eye, it had already swept up a slower true energy realm guard. Under the burning of the grand sun true fire, this true energy realm guard couldn't even hold on for a breath before being burned to ashes. Chou Xing Hui. Seeing that Chou Xing Hui actually dared to chase after him, Xia Tian let out an angry roar, and suddenly turned around again. The Kuan Peng divine body appeared, and a round of dimensional slash tore down, once again forcing Xing Hui to quickly retreat. However, when he forced Xing Hui to retreat, and was about to turn around and leave, Xing Hui once again entangled him. The golden crow divine body whistled, and almost swept another true energy realm expert into the flames. Bastard! Seeing that Xing Hui didn't fight and only harassed as much as possible, Xia Tian was extremely furious. He coldly said to the true energy realm guards beside him, "You guys go first, I'll bring up the rear. If I want to leave, this kid won't be able to stop me." Yes. Under Li Hechuan's lead, the various true energy realm experts abruptly left the group and were about to leave. But at that moment, Primordial Chaos Saint, Tang Sun and the others, who had been watching from afar, quickly surrounded Li Hechuan and the others and quickly blocked their path. "Since you're here, Why are you in such a hurry to leave? Just like our great elder Tsinghui said, it won't be too late to leave after the victor has been decided. Li Hunyuan's face darkened when he saw that Primordial Chaos Saint dared to bring people to intercept him. Primordial Chaos Saint, don't make a mistake. These people are important figures from the primordial sect of Heaven Wasteland world. If your primordial heaven sect wants to get involved in this mess, be careful not to bring disaster to your primordial heaven sect. Is that so, primordial sect? What an amazing name. I wonder how the primordial sect compares to the heaven sect. Primordial Chaos Saint sneered, not afraid at all. You. Li Hunyuan's face revealed a trace of sullenness. Only now did he realize that the person who was entangled with Xia Tian was the personal disciple of Venerable Zhu Zhao. No matter how amazing the primordial sect was, how could it compare to Venerable Zhu Zhao, who stood at the peak of the eastern wasteland world? Swish. Just as the two battlefields were in a deadlock, a flying magical artifact at the end of the horizon tore through the void and quickly flew over with an ear-piercing whistle. Not long after, it stopped at one side of the two battlefields. As the flying magic tool came to a stop, a graceful figure with a long sword on his back stepped out of the flying magic tool. Even though he only appeared and did nothing, he attracted everyone's attention in an instant. Chapter 451. What a fast-flying Dharma artifact! When this flying Dharma artifact flew over, there was an ear-piercing sonic boom. This is definitely a level 10 flying Dharma artifact. The most powerful flying Dharma artifact in the entire Eastern Wilderness is in the Create Evolve Mysterious sect, and its level is only level 7. This flying Dharma artifact's style is completely different from our Eastern Wilderness. Could it be someone from Heaven Wasteland again? Could it be that the battle with the sea beasts has really ended, and our Eastern Wilderness has been sealed off from the outside world for hundreds of years? This mysterious man. He looks ordinary, but why do I feel uneasy when I look at him? It's as if I've met my most terrifying enemy. The experts of the three sects looked at the man who appeared on the flying Dharma artifact in amazement. However, when Xia Tian, who was furiously chasing after Qing Su, turned around and glanced at the man who had walked down from the flying arcane artifact, she immediately became frightened out of her wits. She paled as if she had seen a ghost. A broken sword. Broken sword of the sky. Senior brother Broken Sword? Tsinghui, who was fighting with Xia Tian while recovering his true yuan, also heaved a sigh of relief when he saw Broken Sword. Broken Sword, who was sent by esteemed Zhu Zhao to lead him to Heaven Wasteland, had finally arrived. Broken Sword understood the situation in front of him at a glance, and without any delay, he directly attacked. He didn't use any great divine power or any brilliant techniques. He just reached out and grabbed Xia Tian. The giant hand formed by his true yuan directly enveloped Xia Tian. Broken Sword, you can't do this to me. You're an almighty, you can't attack me. Xia Tian roared, and the Kuan-Peng divine body suddenly appeared. She didn't even have the courage to fight, and flapped her wings to escape as fast as she could. Unfortunately, it was useless. The giant hand formed by the Broken Sword seemed to have completely grasped the space within a radius of several thousand meters. Xia Xia's Kuan-Peng divine body appeared and wanted to escape, but not only did it not rush out of the range of the Broken Sword's palm, but it also seemed to have taken the initiative to fall into the hand of the Broken Sword's giant energy hand. With a sudden shake of the giant hand, the Kuan-Peng divine body, which was strong enough to fight against the Golden Crow divine body, was actually crushed into pieces by him. It exploded into a torrent of energy that swept out in all directions. Xia Tian's face turned pale because her Kuan-Peng divine body was destroyed, and blood flowed out of the corner of her mouth. Young master, the true Yuan realm experts in the distance shouted was terrified, and they all rushed over to save Xia Tian without fear of death. However, before the Broken Sword, there was a huge difference between the true energy realm and the divine ability realm. He did not even bother to look at them. With a flick of his finger, streams of sword chi shot out from his fingertip. They pierced through space like laser beams, killing several true energy realm experts in a single stroke. Sword was broken, sword was broken, sword of sword broken sword? Broken. Sword broken sword? Broken sword was sword? Primordial chaos. Holy Master glanced at Li Huchuan, whose head had been shot by the sword chi. He wanted to say something, but he couldn't say a word in the end, since he found out that Xing Hui was most likely the disciple of an almighty in Heaven Dome. He had done his research on many experts in Heaven Dome. Naturally, he knew Master Zhu Zhao's talented disciple very well. He was a real peerless genius. He only took 300 years to become an almighty. Of course, based on the current situation, perhaps he was slightly inferior to the monstrous geniuses of Qing ruins, but advancing from the golden elixir realm to the transcendent realm was a long process. Unless one only wanted to cultivate the most common transcendent art, no one could do it in one go. Even if they had a divine-grade battle body and a divine-grade vital essence foundation. Therefore, although Xing Hui had shown amazing progress in the longevity realm, true Yuan realm, and transcendent realm, if one were to say that he would become an almighty in 300 years, no one had the confidence to do so. Is this the technique of an almighty? Xing Hui was still recalling the technique that Broken Sword had used to capture Xia Tian alive. When the Broken Sword had captured Xia Tian alive, it hadn't used much energy. In fact, it was slightly inferior to the true essence that Partridge had used when he had used his gold core. However, when he had used his palm to capture Xia Tian, it had seemed to contain an indescribable Tao rhythm. Everything had seemed so natural and natural. It seemed to involve the use of a higher level of power. Is it sword momentum? Xing Hui muttered to himself and looked at Broken Sword with a hint of surprise. Sword momentum. That was the foundation of a realm. And a realm was the foundation of a divine. If one could cultivate sword momentum, the probability of entering the divine realm was 20% or even 30%. It was no wonder that everyone in the firmament realm held Broken Sword in such high esteem. Even the firmament master had enviously said more than once that Master Zhu Zhao had a successor. Senior brother Broken Sword. Xing Hui's thoughts were in turmoil, but he didn't slow down. He quickly stepped forward and bowed to Broken Sword. Junior brother Xing Hui, there's no need to be so polite. We'll soon be a family. There's no need for these formalities. Broken Sword smiled at Xing Hui while sizing him up. Looking at the battle between junior brother Xing Hui and this kid, junior brother's true ability is even more amazing than I thought. It seems that you only need to return to Heaven Wasteland and let Master train you a little. Then you'll naturally condense a golden elixir and prepare to break through to the divine realm in the future. I'm only at the transcendent realm now. There's still a never-ending realm before I reach the golden elixir realm. The never-ending realm may be a bit troublesome, but with Master's personal guidance, it's nothing. It's just a matter of time. As long as you have the heart, you'll be able to break through, even if it's the golden elixir realm. As Broken Sword spoke, he glanced at Xia Tian, the young master of the Yuan sect, who he had captured alive. What's going on? If I'm not wrong, he should have used a technique of the Yuan sect on Heaven Wasteland. Xing Hui nodded. This kid is the young master of the Yuan sect. I don't know his name, but his nickname in the Chaos Temple is Xia Tian. He was originally a member of Heaven Dome, but later he betrayed us in order to obtain a supreme divine item left behind by Senior Bei Shao. After failing to snatch that divine item, he traveled thousands of miles to the Eastern Barren Territory in an attempt to capture me alive and force that supreme divine item out. Supreme divine item? The supreme divine item in the hands of Senior Bei Shao? Broken Sword was slightly startled. Hearing that Broken Sword had actually heard of this item, Xia Tian immediately laughed bitterly. Ha ha ha, you've also heard of this rumor. However, it's the supreme divine item in the hands of Bei Shao. I don't need to explain how valuable that supreme divine item is. Broken Sword, that supreme divine item is currently in the hands of Cho Xing Hui. Why don't you just capture him alive and force him to reveal the location of that supreme divine item? Once you can obtain that supreme divine item, with your talent, even the divine realm will be within your reach. Bang! Before Xiachen could finish his words, the Broken Sword had already struck him fiercely on the head, knocking him unconscious. After knocking Xia Tian unconscious, Broken Sword turned his gaze to Xing Hui and explained, recently, the Yuan sect has been investigated to be extremely close to the heavenly Tao. The two seem to have secretly colluded together, but there's no evidence. Now that I've captured the young master of the UNG sect, I'll investigate it later and see if the collusion between the UNG sect and the Creation Mysterious sect is true or false. As he spoke, he didn't mention the supreme divine item in Bei Zhao's hands at all. Obviously, with his status, he wouldn't do such a thing as snatching a junior's treasure. Xing Hui nodded. Senior brother Broken Sword, just deal with it as you see fit. Haha, that's good. I came nearly a month early. How are your matters in the Eastern Barren Territory going? I'm afraid I'll need another half a month. When Xing Hui heard this, he was somewhat troubled. That's easy. I'll wait for you for a month. After Broken Sword finished speaking, he smiled at Xing Hui and said, Come, Xing Hui, this is the first time we're meeting. I've brought you a gift. Let's see if you like it. With that, he turned around and walked towards his flying magic artifact. Senior brother, you don't have to do this. Xing Hui wanted to refuse, but Broken Sword had already turned into a flying magic artifact. He could only step forward and follow Broken Sword into his flying magic artifact. Broken Sword's flying magic artifact was extremely large. It was double the size of Xing Hui's Holy Winged Dragon Hawk. The space inside was estimated to be 160 square meters, and everything needed for daily life was available. It seemed that this senior brother Broken Sword wasn't too harsh on him in terms of living. Come, Xing Hui, come and see my gift for you. Broken Sword said to Xing Hui and beckoned for Xing Hui to come closer, as if he wanted to show something from the room. However, just as Xing Hui was about to step forward to see what was hidden in the room, Broken Sword suddenly made a move, and a strange force smashed into Xing Hui's brain. Immediately, Xing Hui felt his brain rumble, his soul leave his body, and his consciousness dissipated at this moment. The most obvious effect of his consciousness dissipating was that he had completely cut off his connection with the Chaos Temple. Senior brother Broken Sword. The moment his consciousness dissipated, Xing Hui's heart was filled with grief. He couldn't believe that Broken Sword, the most outstanding disciple of Master Zhu Zhao, would do such a thing. Please cooperate with the operation. Junior brother Xing Hui, please don't be impatient. There was a faint smile on Broken Sword's face. At this time, Xia also woke up. Looking at Broken Sword, who had beaten Xing Hui to the point where he couldn't condense his mind, he widened his eyes in shock. Why aren't you running? Broken Sword said. Although Xia didn't know what was going on, he still had a chance to survive and escaped immediately. Primary Extreme Sword Talisman. Almost at the moment he rushed out of the flying magic artifact, a violent explosion spread out from the flying magic artifact. Under Broken Sword's disguise, the flying magic artifact was completely devoured. What's going on? Xia was dumbfounded. Primary Extreme Sword Talisman? He had already used it. However, before Xia could think about it, a destructive force had already swept out from behind him. Under his shocked gaze, he was crushed into pieces. Chapter 452. What's going on? What's going on? Yuan Extreme Sword Talisman? What's that? Something seems to have happened. In the void, Primordial Chaos Holy Master, Tang Sun, Wen Hui, and the others trembled when they heard the roar from the flying device and heard the roar of the top figure from the heavenly vault. However, before Primordial Chaos Holy Master and the others could get close to the flying device, which was emitting a large amount of fiery light, started to operate again. Then, it whizzed toward the sea at an extremely fast speed, breaking the sound barrier in the blink of an eye and disappearing into the horizon. It was as fast as a level 8 or even a level 9 flying sword. Even Primordial Chaos Holy Master, an expert of the Transcendent Realm, could not catch up with it. Holy Master, what's going on? Wen Hui of the Green Lotus Sword Sect asked anxiously. Primordial Chaos Holy Master looked in the direction where the flying device had disappeared with a grave expression, but he still said conservatively, from the way Great Elder Xing Hui and Sir Broken Sword from the Heavenly Vault addressed each other, it's not hard to tell that he's the disciple of the supreme expert of the Heavenly Vault, esteemed Zhu Zhao. At this point, even though he was already mentally prepared, he still felt a little breathless. Zhu Zhao, that was an invincible giant of the divine realm. Moreover, he was one of the most powerful existences in the divine realm. It should be known that the cultivation of the saint realm was different from that of the saint realm. From time to time, the cultivators of the saint realm could still find ways to collect some cultivation resources by killing young divine beasts and adult divine beasts. However, in order to obtain cultivation resources of the saint realm, one either had to pin their hopes on the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, discover an ancient cave residence by chance, or travel to the outer sea, which was 50 to 60 million kilometers away from the Heaven Wasteland domain, to kill divine beasts and obtain cultivation resources from them. However, among the three methods, the lowest requirement to open the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion was that the Son of Chaos had to be at least level 30. Moreover, to open the Primal Chaos Treasure Pavilion, one had to pay at least 100 Taoist rhymes or 1 Taoist rhyme per day. The excavation of the ancient cavern was completely dependent on one's luck and luck. As for going to the real outer sea to kill divine beasts and obtain cultivation resources from them, it was extremely dangerous even for the invincible powerhouses of the Saint Realm. Although it wasn't a 90% chance of survival, wouldn't the act of killing divine beasts bring about disastrous consequences? More often than not, only 1 or 2 people would make it back alive. The casualty rate was more than 60%. Because the divine realm was limited by the limits of resources, every single breakthrough was extremely difficult. Thus, esteemed Zhu Zhao, who possessed great battle prowess in the divine realm, and could even be said to be in the top 10, naturally possessed unprecedented prestige. If such a big shot wanted to deal with Xing Hui, he could kill him with a flip of his hand. There was no need for him to send a disciple, let alone a disciple of the almighty level. Let's wait for a while. Maybe something has happened. It won't be too late for us to think of a way after some time when there's no movement. Origin Saint said. The others also nodded. In fact, they had no other way at all. However, when Hui seemed to have thought of something and hurriedly said, "Should we tell Deputy Sect Leader Nalan Fei about this? Vice Sect Master Nalan Fei isn't just a relative of the Great Elder of Qingsu. She's also a member of Heaven's Dome. Even though she's only an outer member of Heaven's Dome, she can still come into contact with the upper echelons of Heaven's Dome thanks to the Purple Sky Reverend. If the Great Elder of Qingsu still hasn't returned after some time, why don't we send Vice Sect Master Nalan Fei to Heaven's Dome to ask what's going on?" That's right. Nalan Fei is now in the wonderful mountain range. I'll go and inform Nalan Fei now. The primordial origin saint and the others had no idea what was going on, so they could not act recklessly. Meanwhile, after Remnant Sword put on a show, he activated his flying device with Qingsu and flew off into the ocean extremely quickly. Very soon, they arrived at a place where people were rarely seen. At this moment, Xing Hui's tendons and veins were all broken. The genuine vitality in his body was forced out by a vast force. As for his limbs, the nerves were cut off by the sword qi and he could not sense them. It could be said that he could not even commit suicide, let alone resist. This was the prelude to the interrogation. Xing Hui had used a similar method to interrogate others about the chaos incantation back then. However, he did not expect that he would be interrogated the same way now. For a moment, he could not help but have a sad expression on his face. "Don't worry. You have the recovery ability of level 10. Even if I cut off your tendons and nerves and left a sword qi in all your acupoints, you can slowly recover even if I cut you into 100 or 1,000 pieces. It's just a matter of how much energy it takes and how long it takes. Therefore, this kind of physical injury will not cause any harm to you," Remnant Sword said calmly as if it had nothing to do with him. Remnant Sword? You betrayed Tianqiong and joined Tiandao, didn't you? Xing Hui fell into Remnant Sword's hands with a trace of defeat in his eyes. He stared at Remnant Sword as if he was still unwilling to accept this fact. Remnant Sword glanced at Xing Hui and scanned the surroundings. After feeling that it was about time, he said slowly, "Yes or no, does it matter?" "Why?" Xing Hui stared coldly at Remnant Sword. "Why did you do this? Esteemed Zhu Zhao treated you as his successor, and he spared no effort in guiding you in your cultivation. But you actually betrayed Tianqiong and became a pawn of the heavenly Tao?" "You're right." "Why?" "Why?" Remnant Sword murmured and glanced at Xing Hui with a trace of sadness in his eyes. Why, because of fate? Fate? What fate? Now that things have come to this, you only have two choices left. The first is to sign an agreement with me and join Tiandao. When the Chaos War arrives, you will give Tianqiong a fatal blow. As for the second, I believe you don't want to know. Is this how you repay esteemed Zhu Zhao's kindness in teaching you? Remnant Sword glanced at Xing Hui, but did not discuss esteemed Zhu Zhao with him. Instead he said slowly, it's not bad for you to join Tiandao. Tiandao is one of the most powerful organizations in the Infinite Region. The only ones who can fight against it are the Divine Region and the Eternal Region. In terms of experts, resources, cultivation methods, and territories, Tiandao is at least 3 times more powerful than Tianqiong. Even though Tianqiong is expanding rapidly, and there are several times more experts in the Gold Core realm than 3 years ago, it is still inferior to Tiandao. With your talent, if you can really join Tiandao, you may even be able to become a personal disciple of a Tao Master in the Divine Realm. At that time, not only will you succeed, but you will also be able to derive divine sense and become a powerful figure. A personal disciple of a Tao Master in the Divine Realm? Can a Tao Master be more powerful than esteemed Zhu Zhao? Do I need to betray Tianqiong for a Tao Master? Although Zhu Zhao the exalted being is powerful, there may be someone in the way of heaven who can defeat him. Moreover, apart from teachers, the most important thing for betraying Tianqiong is resources. You can't imagine the amount of resources needed to advance from the Golden Elixir realm to the Divinity realm. Even the young lords of the first-class sects have to spend hundreds or thousands of years running around in order to make their golden elixirs strong enough to bear fruit and derive divine powers. But once their golden elixirs are stimulated, but they don't derive divine powers, not only will the hundreds or thousands of years of hard work be destroyed, but the heritage and accumulation of the entire sect for hundreds of years will be completely exhausted. If you can join the way of heaven, I can assure you that after the destruction of Tianqiong, you will be able to get rich resources to condense at least a superior grade golden elixir. I believe Tianqiong can also give me what you Tiandao can give me. Remnant Sword shook his head and said, Tianqiong can't compare with Tiandao. Do you know why Tianqiong doesn't expand its influence over the years and doesn't try to recruit more geniuses? The main reason is that they have limited resources. The most powerful aspect of Tianqiong is Zhu Zhao and Tianqiong, not Chaos Divine Hall. What's more, you are not a disciple of Zhongzhen, nor have you become Zhu Zhao's disciple. Moreover, because of the special relationship between Zhongzhen and Zhu Zhao, even if they give you some basic care, you can never really become their disciple. If you are not their personal disciple, how many resources do you think you can get in the end? A young master of a first-rate sect, with the support of the entire sect, would have to spend hundreds or even thousands of years to accumulate enough resources to upgrade his gold core to the upper grade, or even the lower grade. If you don't have the full support of Tianqiong, how can you become an almighty? You and Yulan can become powerful figures in 300 years, why can't I do it? You don't understand. Remnant Sword shook his head and said, I can become a powerful figure in such a short time because, in addition to the support of Zhu Zhao, I also have the secret support of Tiandao. It is because of Tiandao's help that I can use only 180 years to cultivate divine sense and become a powerful figure. As for Yulan, her success is not only because of her talent, but also because of her luck. She obtained an ancient cave mansion and obtained a huge amount of resources in that cave mansion. That was why she soared into the sky and stepped into the divine sense derivation realm. This kind of luck that can directly help people cultivate gold core is not something that ordinary people can encounter, so she is just a special case. Tiandao. Xing Hui stared at Remnant Sword and said coldly, Don't tell me you betrayed Tianqiong and joined Tiandao just to break through to the divine sense realm. Now you are even helping Tiandao to destroy Tianqiong who gave birth to you and raised you? To deal with Zhu Zhao esteemed, who has high hopes for you and taught you to be a talent. Shut up. Hearing Xing Hui's repeated questions, Remnant Sword, who had been calm and indifferent, finally exploded and roared. What do you know? This is fate. My fate is like this. Fate, bullshit fate. It is nothing more than you looking for an excuse for your shameless actions. The remnant sword looked at Qing Su and said with a sliver of sorrow and heaviness, "My father is the holy man of hatred." Chapter 453. Tao Master Li Hen. Xing Hui was shocked. Li Hen, one of the 8 Tao Masters of the Heavenly Tao. The most powerful beings in the Heavenly Tao were the 8 Tao Masters and the 36 Tao Masters. They were the core forces that the Heavenly Tao used to intimidate the heavens. The Tao Masters of the Heavenly Tao were, without exception, invincible giants in the divine realm. And to be able to become an invincible giant in the divine realm, none of them were of a low level of chaos. Even if his chaos level was low, as a giant standing at the top of the heavenly wasteland domain, he could rob, plunder Tao aura, and even disregard the rules to forcibly occupy other continents. As long as he did not go overboard, others would turn a blind eye to it. Therefore, more than 90% of the divine realm supreme giants were sons of chaos at the 29th level. As for the remaining 10%, it did not mean that the divine realm supreme giant's chaos level was below the 29th level, but above the 29th level. As for whether it was above the 30th level, this was often the top secret information of many chaos organizations and large sects, and no one knew. It was just like how no one in the Heavenly Dome domain really knew the specific chaos level of Master Zhu Zhao and Master Tianqiong. The data that was released had always been a smokescreen, and it was enough to look at. If one really took it seriously, they would definitely suffer a great loss when going against them. This is the reason why you betrayed the Heavenly Dome domain. Cho Tsing Hui, this is your name, right? I think what we should talk about now is your choice. I have a contract in my hand, a contract from the Chaos Temple. Sign this contract, and you will be a member of the Heavenly Tao. Furthermore, given your talent and the fact that you can be ranked in the top echelon of chaos at the 29th level, you will definitely be heavily groomed by the Heavenly Tao. In the future, it will not be difficult for you to become a powerful figure. I will give you 10 breaths of time to consider. After 10 breaths of time, I will regard it as you giving up the power at your fingertips and choosing a path of self-destruction. At that time, I will no longer be merciful to you on the account that we both belong to the Heavenly Dome domain. Xing Hui's heart sank. The chaos contract produced by the Chaos Treasure Pavilion? There was no need to guess that the requirements of such a contract would be extremely harsh. Moreover, the contracts produced by the Chaos Treasure Pavilion had the power to target the level of chaos. Once violated, it was possible that they would be stripped of their identity as the Son of Chaos. I don't have much time left, so I won't let you stall for time any longer. Otherwise, when you local cultivators notice the abnormality and contact esteemed Zhu Zhao, the situation will deteriorate rapidly. Therefore, I don't have so much time to waste on you. 10 breaths have passed, and it seems that you have chosen the latter. Then, let me see if your will can withstand my torture and maintain your current thoughts without wavering. Qin Jian said with a gloomy expression. Although his tone was calm, his words were enough to make people shudder. Qin Jian, it's not too late to turn back now. It's true that you're the son of the Li Hen holy man, but the place you live in is the heavens. Don't tell me you're really going to throw the heavens to the back of your mind for your so-called ambition? Xing Hui said in a low voice. At this point his only hope was the backtracking spell. Before he started fighting with Xia Tian and the rest, he activated the backtracking spell to ensure that nothing went wrong. He did not want Xia Tian to have any treasures that could kill him in one strike. Now that his body was severely injured, he could not even sense the Chaos Divine Hall. He could not use the various active abilities provided by the Chaos Realm. It was only his intelligence, luck, recovery and other passive abilities that were still active. It was a pity, he did not increase his luck at all. This could be seen from the fact that he did not have any other miraculous encounters in so many years. It was a fool's dream to pin his hopes on luck. The only way was to endure it. Endure the torture of Kanjian. Endure until the backtracking spell took effect and he recovered to his peak state. Then, he raised his level of chaos and pointed out a rank 10 personal space before using the incarnation spell to escape from this place. Unfortunately, in this way, most of the Tao-carrying items obtained by the Void Separation Continent and the Creation Mystical Sect would be squandered. It requires me to divide my true qi into dozens and hundreds of portions. Each portion of true qi is as thin as a strand of hair. Then, it will seep into your body through your pores and meridians. It will constantly grind your cells and flesh bit by bit. At the same time, it will be like thin needles that will constantly pierce your bones, creating small holes in your bones. Thanks to your rank 10 recovery ability, during this process, I don't need to worry about whether I will accidentally torture you to death. I can attack as much as I want. Are you ready to try it now? Kanjian said indifferently. His words were filled with ruthlessness. He had vaguely heard of Beijiao's divine artifact before, but he didn't know what it was used for. He purposely mentioned it now because he was curious. You will pay for what you have done. Xing Hui said coldly. Kanjian shook his head. Perhaps I will be consigned to eternal damnation in the future. Unfortunately, you won't be able to see it. Bear with it. This process will be very difficult. If you can't take it anymore, hand over what I want and I will give you a quick death, and send you on your way. With that, strands of sword qi that were as thin as strands of hair rapidly permeated Qingsu's body. Immediately, Qingsu felt like there were several dozen, or even over 100 needles piercing through every single cell in his body. Even with Qingsu's tough mind, he could not help but sweat profusely from the pain. Don't force yourself. Do your best. Although the entire process is very painful, if you can really endure this kind of torture and adapt to this kind of pain, then your mental strength will definitely become stronger. It won't be difficult for you to even advance by 2 or 3 levels. Perhaps, you can treat this as an opportunity. Kanjian's calm voice resounded in Xing Hui's ears. However, what he was doing was filled with coldness and cruelty. Xing Hui couldn't hold on for long. His forehead was already dripping with sweat. The intense pain constantly tortured his nerves, causing his already heavily injured nerves to almost break. Gradually, his consciousness started to hallucinate. You seem to have paid more attention to your mental strength. Looks like you pay a lot of attention to the tempering of your mind. You're actually able to endure the pain and cry out in pain at a time like this. Unfortunately, you're dreaming if you think you can resist my 6th revolution sword qi with this level of mental toughness. I've seen more than one person with a stronger mental toughness than you. Torturing them is just a matter of time. Right now, this is only the most basic physical torture. Very soon, I'll seep my sword qi into your bones, and then slowly sever your tendons and veins. After that, it'll seep into your brain and stimulate your brain, causing your brain to become sharper and suffer double or even triple the pain. As Remnant Sword spoke, he paused for a moment. What's even more lamentable is that your rank 10 recovery ability will be the last straw that crushes your will. I have to be careful when torturing ordinary people so that I won't accidentally torture them to death. That would be a huge loss. However, you don't have to worry about that at all. Xing Hui clenched his teeth and visualized his primordial spirit into the 9 heavens squall. He used the memories and pain left on his primordial spirit to resist the pain of his physical body. Unfortunately, although Kanjian's torture methods weren't brilliant, he knew some basic knowledge like the back of his hand. The 6th revolution sword qi constantly flowed in his body and shook his consciousness from time to time. He couldn't even visualize the 9 heavens squall or use his powerful mental strength to shield the pain of his physical body. For a moment, Xing Hui sank into an unprecedented pain. If it wasn't for the fact that he had the backtracking technique, he wouldn't have been able to endure this kind of pain. This torture lasted for more than 20 hours. More than 20 hours later, the 6th rotation sword qi from the remnant sword was withdrawn into his body. He looked at Qingsu with a hint of surprise. Zhuo Qingxiu, I have to say that you've surprised me very much. Even though I'm no master of punishment, I believe that if we were in each other's shoes, I would probably have completely collapsed by now. I would agree to any request from others without any hesitation, just to die. Qingsu's face was sheet white, and he seemed to be dehydrated. Even his body was bent over. Intense pain assaulted his nerves, so he did not even have the strength to open his eyes. If it were not for the fact that he firmly believed in the existence of the technique of backtracking, and used the thought that this was just a nightmare to forcefully hypnotize himself, he probably would have suffered a mental breakdown right now, just like Chan Jian had said. He would answer all questions. As expected, professional matters should be left to professionals. I've contacted an expert in the heavenly Tao who's good at extorting confessions. He's currently preparing, and is about to send down his incarnation. Compared to him, my interrogation methods are just child's play. Do you still plan to continue? Kanjian looked at Xinghui and didn't care if Xinghui was still conscious. After waiting for a while and not getting an answer, Kanjian couldn't help but shake his head regretfully. It seems that I can't monopolize the supreme treasure on Bei Shao. Forget it, forget it. Maybe I'm not fated with that supreme treasure. I'll contact that Almighty and ask him to send down his incarnation. When he arrives, I believe that you'll make the right choice. Kanjian's voice echoed in Xinghui's ears like a dream. After more than 20 hours of torture, his consciousness couldn't be as clear as it was at the beginning. The only thing that kept him going was the backtracking technique. The backtracking technique that made him extremely sensitive to time. At this moment, with a non-existent ticking sound in his mind, this nightmarish torture finally ended. The backtracking began. Chapter 454. Backtracking Skill. The moment the backtracking skill took effect, Xinghui's body seemed to have been refreshed. Not only did all the restraints that remnant sword placed on him disappear, even the injuries on his body recovered instantly. This sudden change startled Broken Sword, who was contacting the Master of Torture in the Chaos Divine Palace, for a moment. In the moment he was slightly stunned, Qingsu sensed the Chaos Sacred Hall. 200 levels of Taoist presence in his personal space rapidly evaporated, and his chaos level shot up from the 41st level to the 43rd level. Without any hesitation, he immediately raised his personal space to the 10th level. This is backtracking skill? The backtracking skill that was derived from level 40 chaos? You actually. At this moment, Remnant Sword, who was slightly stunned, suddenly woke up. His expression changed drastically and he attacked with all his might without hesitation. The attack that contained a special power was about to severely injure Xinghui and shake his spirit to break the connection between him and the Chaos Temple. Before Remnant Sword's attack hit Xinghui's body suddenly exploded. More than half of his flesh was absorbed into his personal space and disappeared without a trace. Remnant Sword. You will pay for what you have done. In the void, Xinghui's voice that had yet to disappear faintly lingered. Rumble. Sword Chi rampaged. Xinghui's remaining blood mist was crushed into pieces by the tens of thousands of sword radiances that exploded from Remnant Sword's hand. Although that was the case, Remnant Sword's face did not show any joy. Instead, it was filled with gloominess and coldness. This is personal space? At the last moment, he transferred his essence and blood into his personal space. He dared to use his personal space to store his essence and blood without worrying about losing his vitality. Level 10 personal space. Level 10 personal space. Level 10 recovery ability. Transformation skill. Remnant Sword looked at Xinghui, who had completely disappeared. Only a faint bloody aura was left. His eyes flashed with uncontrollable anger. Undying body. Undying body was one thing. The most terrifying thing was his chaos level. Level 40. Just now, Xinghui's injuries had completely healed. Shockingly, that was the sign of backtrack, and backtrack was an invincible technique that only a rank 40 Son of Chaos could master. A rank 40 Son of Chaos. How did he do it? Broken Sword felt a chill in his heart. He thought that he had investigated Cho Xinghui thoroughly, and he didn't dare to relax when dealing with him. However, he didn't expect that there would be such a big change in the end. Not only did Cho Xinghui use his terrifying willpower to resist all of his torture methods, his true chaotic level was actually not only level 29 as stated in the information, but level 40. Level 40 was on the same level as the strongest in the Heavenly Tao. Although Xinghui's chaotic level wasn't as terrifying as the 44th level of the strongest in the Heavenly Tao, if a rank 40 Son of Chaos burst out at a critical moment, who knew what kind of terrible consequences it would bring? A rank 40 Son of Chaos, even if it's passed down, has a total of 20 levels. If this chaos skill art is sold, it's enough to make any almighty go bankrupt. Not to mention a few dozen Taoist rhymes. Even a few hundred Taoist rhymes would be bought. However, now isn't the time to be greedy for this chaos skill art. I have to return to the sky as soon as possible and deal with the problem with esteemed Zhu Zhao. Otherwise, once Cho Tsinghui reports me, my identity will be in danger of being exposed. While Remnant Sword's eyes were filled with greed for Tsinghui's rank, 40 Son of Chaos skill art, he quickly regained his composure and stepped into the Chaos Temple without hesitation. Then he stepped into the Chaos Temple and into the sky. Cho Tsinghui's physical body was destroyed. Even if he had the recovery characteristic of level 10, and could be reborn from a drop of blood, it wasn't something that could be done overnight. He had to completely eliminate the consequences of this reckless action when Tsinghui's physical body was reconstructed, and enter the Chaos Temple again. If everything went smoothly, he could even eliminate this huge threat in one go. Swoosh. His figure shuttled through. Remnant Sword quickly appeared in front of esteemed Zhu Zhao with a serious expression. At this moment, Master Zhu Zhao was flipping through the information of an almighty. This was an almighty who belonged to the Celestial Vault. He could be said to be very loyal. Although he did not belong to the 10 Great Cores, he had joined the Celestial Vault for a long time. Master Zhu Zhao, and the others were discussing whether to take him in. Seeing Remnant Sword's serious expression and appearing in his study without reporting anything, esteemed Zhu Zhao suddenly realized something. Didn't you go to the Eastern Wilderness to pick up Pak Hui? Something happened? Something happened. Remnant Sword nodded solemnly. Pak Hui, also known as Cho Tsinghui. If I'm not wrong, he should be a chess piece that the heavenly axiom placed in our sky. Therefore, I earnestly request Master to discuss with esteemed Zhu Zhao, and let the sword wielders kill Cho Tsinghui completely. Otherwise, I'm afraid it'll be too late. Cho Tsinghui is a chess piece that the heavenly axiom placed in our sky? How is that possible? Tell me in detail. Esteemed Zhu Zhao's expression turned serious. Although he didn't believe that Tsinghui was related to the heavenly axiom, the news in front of him was brought by his most trusted disciple, so he had to treat it seriously. I used more than a year to go to the Eastern Wilderness. When I arrived, Tsinghui was fighting with someone, and that person was the young master of the UNG sect. UNG sect. Esteemed Zhu Zhao naturally had an impression of this sect. The entire UNG sect had 5 almighty-level existences, 4 supreme elders and 1 sect master. Among them, the strongest was not the supreme elders, but the sect master. He had already taken the step beyond ordinary almighties, and had become a peak existence like the lawful embodiment of heaven and earth. He was second only to many top sects' suppression-level supreme giants. However, this wasn't the main point. The main point was, the UNG sect was deeply involved with the heavenly axiom. Although there was no clear evidence that the UNG sect had sided with the heavenly axiom, according to esteemed Master Firmament's investigation, this possibility was more than 80%. The young master of the UNG sect wasn't weak, and he brought a golden core cultivator with him. When I saw that junior brother Tsinghui was in danger, I didn't hesitate to capture him alive. After all, as the young master of the UNG sect, he must know a lot of secrets about the sect. It would be too easy to just kill him, so it was better to interrogate him. Perhaps I could even get some information about the heavenly axiom from him. You did the right thing. What happened next? Junior brother Tsinghui was heavily injured during the battle with the young master of the UNG sect. After I captured the young master of the UNG sect, I immediately began to treat junior brother Tsinghui's injuries. Who would have thought that he would sneak attack me at a critical moment while I was treating junior brother Tsinghui's injuries? Broken Sword said in a deep voice. There was a trace of disbelief and sorrow in his voice. He used nothing but the UNG sect's UNG Sword Talisman that the UNG sect's master personally created. UNG Sword Talisman. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao's heart sank. The UNG Sword Talisman is a talisman personally created by the UNG sect's master. Although the power sealed within isn't at the level of a divine ability, due to the special method used to create it, it's equivalent to a pseudo-divine ability or a lesser divine ability. Regular golden core cultivators wouldn't be able to escape death under the UNG Sword Talisman, even if they could block it. Even divine ability experts would be killed if they couldn't react in time. Yes. Broken Sword said in a serious tone. Fortunately, the UNG sect's young master was right behind me. The Yuanji sword talisman was created by the Yuanji sex master, and there's a bloodline connection between them. If the target was him, the power inside wouldn't have exploded immediately. With the help of the Yuanji sex young master, I was able to react slightly and survive the Yuanji sword talisman's attack. That's a good plan. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao sighed. He believed most of Broken Sword's words. After all, this was a disciple that he had personally groomed. He knew Broken Sword very well. Compared to Tsing Hui, whom he had only known for a few years and was full of secrets, it was easier for him to believe Broken Sword. In the end, when Cho Tsing Hui realized that he couldn't kill me, he actually used the incarnation technique to escape. Based on the various miraculous things he displayed at that time, he took the path of an immortal body. His recovery and personal space both reached the 10th level. Therefore, even if I wanted to kill him, I couldn't. Immortal body. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao nodded. Esteemed Zhu Zhao nodded and said, he is a son of chaos at the 29th level, so it's reasonable for him to have an immortal body. It's just that it's a pity. If a son of chaos at the 29th level could join us, we would have a higher chance of winning the war against the Heavenly Way. I just didn't expect that he was a pawn arranged by the Heavenly Way to infiltrate us. Fortunately, you discovered it immediately. Otherwise, if he really joined the first echelon of our Heaven Dome and launched his attack at the moment of the war against the chaos, our Heaven Dome, which was already in a crisis, would have been on the verge of death. Broken Sword nodded with a serious expression. Esteemed Master Zhu Zhao leaned back, closed his eyes, and waved his hand. You can leave now. I need some peace and quiet. Broken Sword understood that his master thought highly of Cho Tsing Hui. If it weren't for esteemed Songjun, he would have already accepted him as a disciple. What happened now was naturally a huge blow to him. It was reasonable for him to feel exhausted both mentally and physically. After estimating that the matter was almost settled, Broken Sword didn't want to stay any longer. He nodded. Master, don't be sad. It's not worth it for such a pawn that almost infiltrated our heavenly Tao. I understand. I'll leave now. Remnant Sword bowed respectfully and left. A pawn. After Broken Sword left for a while, esteemed Master Zhu Zhao opened his eyes again and sighed faintly. No wonder Tsing Hui's growth speed is inexplicably fast. Even with our help, his cultivation speed is too fast. However, I'm afraid that the one who suffered the most from this matter is not me, but Songjun. He has been betrayed by 2 disciples. Now that he finally has the heart to accept a new disciple, it's actually a pawn of the Heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao. Heavenly Tao. At the end of his words, even with esteemed Master Zhu Zhao's temperament, his eyes were overflowing with cold light and killing intent. Chapter 455. Broken Sword. In a small courtyard, Tsing Hui, who was in the form of a blood mist, gradually condensed into a body. It took an entire day for his body to completely grow up. However, although his body had grown up, he still looked like he had lost a lot of Yuan Qi. Even with the recovery ability of the 10th level, it would probably take him several days to completely recover his Yuan Qi. Young master, you have already locked yourself in the house for an entire day. You must be hungry. I brought a lot of your favorite food. Come and try it with Xiaolu. At this time, a gentle voice came from outside. Tsing Hui glanced outside and his gaze immediately fell on his other self. No. It was not appropriate to say that it was his other self. Although the consciousness of the body in front of him belonged to him, he had another identity. He was the younger brother of Su Xiao of Shenhui Trading Company Suyuan. That's right. Back then, in order to avoid being killed by Broken Sword, Tsing Hui directly chose to use the incarnation technique to bring his body to the Hidden Sword Continent. The reason why he chose the Hidden Sword Continent was partly because of the spiritual imprint, and partly because of the geographical location of the Hidden Sword Continent. At present, there were only 4 places that he could freely descend to. One was the Eastern Wilderness Continent, one was the Chongzhen Continent, one was the Kongli Continent, and one was the Hidden Sword Continent. Among these 4 places, there was a body container that he had specially prepared in the wondrous mountain range of the Eastern Wilderness Continent. He could descend there whenever he wanted. However, because he wanted to avoid being killed by Broken Sword, if Broken Sword wanted to cover up the news that he had betrayed Tianqiong, and wanted to destroy everyone in the wondrous mountain range to completely conceal this news, then he, who had used the incarnation technique to resurrect in the wondrous mountain range, would definitely not be able to escape death. As for the Kongli continent, the special environment there would make it extremely difficult for him to come back if he really sent his body there. As for the Chongxin continent, there was no point in going there. Only the Hidden Sword continent. On one hand, it was closer to the Heaven Wasteland world. On the other hand, he could still follow his previous plan and see if he could try to complete Su Zhao's request, killing two birds with one stone. A day ago, after he used the incarnation technique to descend to the Hidden Sword continent, a part of his consciousness directly entered Su Yuan's body, and then another part of his consciousness controlled the blood essence he kept in his personal space, and began to evolve and regenerate. Due to the good preservation of the vitality, the body had been completed in a day, but it would still take some time to completely recover the consumed vitality. Originally, I only planned to use this body to complete the mission of the Hidden Sword sect. Who would have thought that because of a coincidence, even the original body would be here? With the cooperation of the original body, some things will be much easier to deal with. Xing Hui did not pay attention to the call of the servant girl called Xiaolu outside the door. Instead, he pondered and planned his next move in the Hidden Sword continent. Compared to the Eastern Wastelands, Fortune Mainland, Heavy Truth Mainland, and Void Separation Mainland, the Hidden Sword Mainland was undoubtedly much more dangerous. Among these mainlands, even the Fortune Mainland, which had the most experts, only had a few dozen false core realm cultivators. Compared to golden core realm cultivators, these false core realm cultivators lacked the ability to erupt their gold core realm. At best, their battle prowess was comparable to two never-ending realm experts. However, their immortal arts were strange. By relying on their immortal arts, they could barely contend with golden core realm experts after erupting their gold core realm power. As for the Hidden Sword continent, the Hidden Sword sect was the most powerful sect in the world. They had several dozen golden core cultivators, close to 100, and a large number of unending spirit cultivators. Not to mention, there was also the venerable Hidden Sword who had derived the ability to suppress them. Even if he had broken through to the unending spirit realm, or even the golden core realm, sweeping through the entire Hidden Sword continent would still be wishful thinking, let alone Qingsu, who was only at the transformative realm. First, I'll use Su Yuan's identity to understand the Hidden Sword continent in detail, or rather, the identity of the Hidden Sword sect. As for my original body, I can use the identity of a powerful expert's disciple to enter the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce, and act according to the circumstances. Xing Hui quickly came up with a plan. However, the incident with the broken sword had taught him a profound lesson. The weakening effect of the incarnation technique had not yet passed. So before the incarnation technique's cooldown was over, he still had to wait a few days. And once the incarnation technique's cooldown was over, even if he encountered other dangers, he could use the incarnation technique to directly go to any of the continents in the Chongxin continent, Fortune continent, or Eastern Wastelands. Who would be able to do anything to him? The immortal body battle tactic had been completed. As long as he was careful and did not seek his own death, there were many aspects of his actions that he did not need to be as cautious as before. Young master? Young master, open the door. You haven't eaten for a day. If you don't open the door, I can only go and inform the young mistress. Xiaolu's voice came from outside the door again. Put the things down. I don't have time now. Xing Hui pondered for a moment, then said to the outside. Young master? Don't you want to play with Xiaolu? Let's go horseback riding, or Xiaolu can bring you to fly a kite. Uncle Lu has made a few new kites. It's very fun. No. Su Yuan, who was controlled by Xing Hui, said without hesitation. Then he said in an impatient tone, Don't bother me. Hurry up and leave. Yes, outside the door, the servant girl named Xiaolu looked very wronged. Then the sound of footsteps faded away. Xing Hui carefully sensed that although the girl had left the room, she did not go far. Instead, she was still staring at Xing Hui, or rather, the room where Yuan was in. Her face was filled with worry. Xinghui ignored her. After he felt that he had more or less recovered, he directly immersed his consciousness into the primal chaos shrine. He had to report the matter of the broken sword to the venerable Zhu Zhao as soon as possible. Buzz. Buzz. Xinghui's figure moved, and he appeared in the Sky Dome realm. After arriving in the Sky Dome realm, Xiaochen was about to use his special ability to travel through space and head directly to the courtyard where the venerable Zhu Zhao was. However, he was shocked to discover that his ability to travel freely in the Sky Dome realm had been taken away. Xinghui's expression changed slightly. He had a bad feeling. Xiaochen did not care about anything else. He quickly flew up and headed to the palace where the venerable Zongzhen was at. Soon he arrived at the book creation hall. In the book creation hall, Yuling was talking to Zongzhen Shangren with 4 people. 2 of the 4 people were members of Tianqiong, and the other 2 were obviously new masters that Tianqiong had recruited. It was not difficult to see that the cultivation of these 2 people was not bad from the light that burst out of their eyes from time to time. Venerable, I have an urgent matter to discuss with the venerable Zhu Zhao. Please bring me there. Ignoring the fact that the venerable Zongzhen was busy, Xinghui quickly went forward and asked in a low voice. Hey Pak Hui. After one day, the venerable Zhu Zhao had not told the venerable Zongzhen about Xinghui. When the venerable Zongzhen saw Xinghui, he was somewhat surprised. If you want to see the venerable Zhu Zhao, just go. Why do you need my referral? My authority has been taken away, Xinghui said sullenly. When the venerable Zongzhen heard this, his expression immediately turned serious. What's going on? What is that old fellow from the Sky Dome realm doing? I'll go and ask for you. After saying that, the venerable Zongzhen said to Yuling, help them register. Yes, venerable. Although Yuling did not know what happened, she could see the grave expressions on the 2's faces. However, it was not appropriate for her to ask. If venerable has something to do, please do it first. It is fine for us to wait here for a while. The 2 members of the Sky Dome realm who had brought their men to join the Sky Dome realm said hurriedly. The venerable Zongzhen waved his hand and said, it doesn't matter whether I am here or not. Yuling is familiar with the detailed registration process. Moreover, the 2 of you have joined the Sky Dome realm for 200 or 300 years. I trust the people you recommend. The venerable Zongzhen said this because he had investigated the 2 before. However, the 2 members of the Sky Dome realm were still somewhat touched by his words. Thank you for your trust, venerable. Okay. The venerable Zongzhen responded. Then, he used his authority to bring Xinghui and started to travel rapidly in the Sky Dome realm. Soon they appeared outside the courtyard of the venerable Zhu Zhao. The venerable Zongzhen is here too? After sensing outside the courtyard for a while, the venerable Zongzhen also sensed the aura of the venerable Zongzhen. His face immediately darkened. I want to ask what is going on with these 2 old fellows. Why did they take away Pak Hui's authority for no reason? As the venerable Zongzhen spoke, he had already brought Xinghui directly into the courtyard of the venerable Zhu Zhao. Zhu Zhao, venerable Zongzhen, what is going on? I heard from Pak Hui that you took away his authority as a member of the Sky Dome realm. What did this little fellow do to make you so angry? As the venerable Zongzhen spoke, he brought Xinghui directly into the courtyard of the venerable Zhu Zhao. The moment he stepped into the courtyard of the venerable Zhu Zhao, the venerable Zhu Zhao and the venerable Zongzhen looked at him at the same time. To be exact, they looked at Xinghui who was behind the venerable Zhu Zhao. The venerable Zhu Zhao looked at Xinghui and frowned slightly. On the other hand, the venerable Zongzhen looked at the venerable Zhu Zhao suspiciously. He had also heard from the venerable Zhu Zhao that Xinghui was a chess piece of the Sky Dome realm. His purpose of entering the Sky Dome realm was to destroy the Sky Dome realm. Although the venerable Zongzhen did not suspect the venerable Zhu Zhao, he did not have any concrete evidence. He could only temporarily take away Xinghui's authority as a member of the Sky Dome realm, and even allowed him to be an official member. This was also the reason why Xinghui could freely enter the Sky Dome realm. Originally, the venerable Zongzhen had already gathered people and planned to personally go to the eastern wilderness to investigate the truth of the matter. However, before he could gather people, Xinghui had already come over. This made the venerable Zhongzhen even more suspicious. He could not believe that Xing Hui was a chess piece of the Sky Dome realm. About the authority, I believe that Pak Hui has more or less guessed it, right? The venerable Zhu Zhao was not the one who answered the venerable Zhongzhen's question, but the venerable Zhongzhen. As he spoke, he looked at Xing Hui and said, "Not long ago, the venerable Zhongzhen reported a problem to the venerable Zhu Zhao and me. He said that you were a chess piece of the Sky Dome realm, and your purpose of approaching the venerable Zhu Zhao was to enter the Sky Dome realm, so that you could give us a fatal blow at the critical moment. Although I personally do not believe this statement, with the identity of the venerable Zhongzhen, I really can't think of a reason for him to frame you like this. Pak Hui, how do you explain this question?" Chapter 456. As expected. Xing Hui's heart sank when he heard what Master Tianqiong said. When he stepped into the sky territory and realized that his identity as a counselor had been stripped, he already had a guess. There was a high chance that Savage Sword had found Master Zhu Zhao first and made a false accusation against him. Now, this guess had been confirmed by Master Zhu Zhao. That White Ruins brat is a chess piece that the Heavenly Dao placed in our Sky Dome. How is this possible? Even if Heaven Dao wanted to find a suitable pawn, they wouldn't target Pak Hui, who is nearly 30 million kilometers away from Heaven Wasteland World, right? What is Savage Sword doing? Why did this kind of thing come out of nowhere? Where is he? Ask him to come over immediately and ask him face to face. Before Qing Su could reply, the venerable Master Zhongzhen was the first to shout. His voice contained a sliver of suppressed fury. "I've already informed Savage Sword. He'll be here soon," Master Zhu Zhao said with a worried look on his face. According to Xing Hui's behavior, one of them must be lying. It could even be said that one of them was a pawn of Heaven Dao. If this pawn was Xing Hui, it would cause a great blow to Master Zhongzhen, but this blow was mainly concentrated on the spiritual level. Xing Hui had only been in Heaven Wasteland for a short time, and had not come into contact with anything core, so he could not cause any substantial damage to Heaven Wasteland. The only loss was the level 12 light condensing sword that Master Zhu Zhao had given him. However, this was not a big deal. A level 12 magic weapon was extremely precious to ordinary powerful figures, but it was nothing to an invincible giant in the divine realm like him. However, if Heaven Dao's pawn was not Xing Hui but Savage Sword, Master Zhu Zhao's heart sank at the thought of this. I hope things won't come to that in the end. Master Zhu Zhao thought to himself. Savage Sword was a disciple that he had brought from the outside world. He had raised Savage Sword since he was young. He treated Savage Sword and Yulan as his own children. If Savage Sword was really a pawn of Heaven Dao, Master Zhu Zhao quickly shook his head. Before the final outcome of the matter was reached, he should not be distracted and let his imagination run wild. Tell me, Baisu, what's going on? Why did Remnant Sword claim that you colluded with the Primary Extreme Sect, and tried to kill him with the Primary Extreme Sword Talisman? The Firmament Master maintained a neutral stance and asked Xing Hui in a deep voice. He also felt that the fact that Xing Hui was a chess piece of the Heavenly Axiom was somewhat inconceivable. Even if the Heavenly Axiom really wanted to choose a chess piece, it did not have to go to the Eastern Wilderness, especially, and this chess piece was a 29th level Son of Chaos. Since when had the Heavenly Dao been so generous to raise a cultivator, who hadn't even reached the Saint Realm to the 29th chaotic level? However, if there was nothing wrong with Xing Hui, then there must be something wrong with the broken sword that had said those words. If the broken sword was a pawn of the Heavenly Dao, now, he could only hope that this was a misunderstanding between Xing Hui and Broken Sword. I used the Primary Extreme Sword Talisman to ambush him? Was that what Remnant Sword used? How could he come up with such a reason? Before Remnant Sword arrived, I was in a life-and-death battle with the Primary Extreme Sect's young sect master. The entire battle was witnessed by the higher-ups of the Hunyuan Heaven Sect, the Jinwu religion, and the Green Lotus Sword Sect in the Eastern Wilderness. I fought against a Golden Core cultivator, several True Essence cultivators, and Transcendent cultivators with the power of the Transcendent State. The battle was a close shave. How could Remnant Sword claim that I colluded with such an enemy? Was his goal to put on an act and harm him? Xing Hui said coldly. Then why did he say that? It's very simple. The pawn of the heavenly Tao is not me, but Remnant Sword. When he saw me, he took advantage of his identity and strength to capture me alive. He thought I was going to die, so he didn't hide anything in front of me. He told me his background and purpose clearly. He wanted to get me to join the way of heaven to deal with Tianqiong, but I refused, so he tortured me in every possible way. Unfortunately, he didn't investigate and I took the opportunity to escape. He had no choice but to take advantage of your trust in him to sow discord in front of you and distort the truth. He wanted to frame me as a pawn of the way of heaven. The best way was to persuade you and ask the Tianqiong swordsman to kill me. In this way, no one would know his true identity. Remnant Sword is a pawn of the heavenly Tao. Esteemed Zhu Zhao shook his head and said, I can't think of a reason why Remnant Sword would betray the heavenly Tao. For power? For benefits? He's a powerful figure and can go anywhere in the world. There's no need for him to do such a thing. Reason? Very simple, because he's the son of the Lihan Holy Man, the Lihan Holy Man. Esteemed Zhu Zhao, Firmament Master, and Zhongjin Master were stunned. Remnant Sword is the son of the Lihan Holy Man? Xing Hui nodded seriously. Yes, he said it himself. It must be true. Esteemed Zhu Zhao, Zhongjin Master, and Firmament Master looked at each other and were speechless. If Remnant Sword was really the son of the Lihan Holy Man, then there was evidence that he betrayed the heavenly Tao. However, what evidence do you have? Esteemed Zhu Zhao asked in a low voice. Although he still looked calm, Song Zhen and Song Qiong could feel that his tone was not as calm and steady as before. Xing Hui was silent for a moment and finally shook his head. Remnant Sword thought that I would definitely die. I have no evidence for what I said. Esteemed Zhu Zhao did not know if he should be relieved or worried. Let's wait for Remnant Sword to come, and let Xing Hui confront him. Firmament Master pondered for a moment and said seriously. Esteemed Zhu Zhao and Zhongjin Master nodded. This was not a small matter. If something went wrong, the heavenly Tao would not only lose a powerful figure, but also esteemed Zhu Zhao, who was equivalent to the stabilizing force of the heavenly Tao, would also be seriously affected. The consequences were simply unimaginable. No matter how carefully they handled it, it would not be too much, Master. Soon, a figure appeared outside esteemed Zhu Zhao's courtyard. It was Remnant Sword who came after hearing the news. After bowing to the Reverend Zhu Zhao, Remnant Sword's gaze immediately landed on Qing Su. His eyes narrowed slightly, but in the next second, he yelled harshly, Zhua Qingshu, you traitor! Master didn't ask the sword bearers to hunt you down and kill you for the sake of your past. How dare you set foot in Heaven's Vault territory? All right, Remnant Sword, stop acting. You can fool people for a while, but can you fool people for a lifetime? Xing Hui said coldly. Fool? What are you talking about? Broken Sword immediately turned to Zhenjiao esteemed, Firmament esteemed, and Zhongjin esteemed, and said, Everyone, this man in front of you is probably a pawn that the way of heaven put into our firmament domain. He wants to give us a fatal blow when the chaos war between the way of heaven and the way of heaven breaks out. All of his words are nonsense. His purpose is to gain the trust of all of you esteemed, so that our firmament domain will be doomed forever. Firmament Master glanced at esteemed Zhu Zhao and Zhongjin Master. One of them was biased toward Remnant Sword, while the other was biased toward Xing Hui. However, he could not explain it in front of Remnant Sword and esteemed Zhu Zhao, so he had to preside over the interrogation himself. He said in a deep voice, Remnant Sword, you said that Xing Hui is a pawn of the heavenly Tao and colluded with the young master of the Yuanji sect to kill you with the Yuanji sword talisman. Xing Hui also called you a pawn of the heavenly Tao and said that you captured him while he was fighting with the people of the Yuanji sect in an attempt to make him betray the heavenly Tao and join the heavenly Tao. Then, you would give us a fatal blow at the critical moment. He refused, so you tortured him. Is this true? Since Firmament Master is asking about this, you must be suspicious. However, if we want to know the truth, I'm afraid we have to do it in the Yuanji sect. Remnant Sword did not shout out loud immediately. Instead, he began to defend himself. What we're talking about involves the Yuanji sect. If we can make a trip to the Yuanji sect, we'll definitely be able to find something. Since Cho Tsing-hui colluded with the UNG sect, it's impossible that he didn't leave any clues behind. The UNG sect is a subordinate organization of the Way of the Heavens. As the son of the Lihan Holy Man, you only need to inform the Lihan Holy Man about what happened here. The Lihan Holy Man will naturally arrange everything in the UNG sect. Even if there are no clues, you will eventually find decisive evidence. Tsing-hui snorted coldly. What, are you feeling guilty? Remnant Sword stared at Tsing-hui with indifference. Qing-su ignored the sword fragment. Instead, he turned towards the Sky Dome Master. You should understand that I have no reason to harm the Sky Dome Master at all. Even if the heavens really want to choose a chess piece, there's no reason for it to choose an ordinary person from the eastern wastelands almost 3,000 kilometers away. Moreover, I joined the Sky Dome Master and got to know the Venerable Master Tsongzhen and the Venerable Master Zhu completely through coincidence. As the two of you who were involved in this, you should understand this very well. No matter what the heavens do, they can't possibly affect the Venerable Master Tsongzhen and the Venerable Master Zhu, right? Choosing the Eastern Barren Territory may be a strategy. After all, the Heavenly Tao should be able to find out that a disciple of the Purple Sky Priest is in the Eastern Barren Territory. With this disciple around, you will naturally be able to enter the Firmament Master. It's because of this that they chose you, who is related to the disciple of the Purple Sky Priest. As for getting to know Master Tsongzhen and Master Zhu after entering the Firmament Master? Haha, I personally think that getting to know Master Tsongzhen is an exception. You are aiming for my master, Master Zhu. This is the best evidence from your cultivation method, bloodline, and the route of your bloodline. As long as you maintain the cultivation path of the Torch Dragon bloodline and show enough talent, you will be noticed by my master one day. The Heavenly Tao may be able to make reasonable arrangements for this. With that, Cruel Sword clasped his hands at Venerable Master Jinzhao, Venerable Master Sky, and so on. There's one more thing that's most important. Do you not suspect the abnormal rate at which Qing-su grows? If he doesn't have the support of a big force behind him, how can he cultivate to this level in less than 10 years? Even if my master and Master Tsongzhen want to support him, his growth speed is too fast, especially his chaotic level. I remember that when Firmament Master saw him before, his chaotic level was high, but it didn't reach level 29. But now, when our Firmament Master is facing the Son of Chaos from the Heavenly Tao, his chaotic level rose to level 29 in one go. And then he joined the first echelon in the Battle of Chaos. This is too much of a coincidence. Remnant Sword bowed deeply and retreated to the side, no longer speaking. Chapter 457. Zhuangzhao Exalted Master, Tsongzhen Exalted Master, and Tsongzhen Exalted Master looked at each other and fell into deep thought. The rate at which Qing-su's cultivation grew was truly unbelievable. And the change in his chaos level. Although Tsing-hui said that he obtained the Taoist rhyme reserve from the battle at the Moonstar Palace, this news had not been completely verified. On the contrary, he might have the support of the heavenly axiom, which was more believable. In fact, it's easy to determine who is the heavenly axiom's pawn. At this moment, Tsing-hui suddenly spoke. Oh, Tsongzhen Exalted Master's eyes lit up. What do you have in mind? The two of us can attack and kill the two key figures in the heavenly axiom. As Tsing-hui spoke, his gaze turned to Zhuangzhao Exalted Master, and said with a faint smile, I remember that the Lihen Holy Man has a disciple called the Taihuan Spiritual Master. He is very talented and has entered the cultivation world for less than 400 years. If Zhuangzhao Exalted Master is willing to attack and kill the Taihuan Spiritual Master, he can prove that he is not the heavenly axiom's pawn. Similarly, I remember that the Black Heaven Holy Man has a daughter, who is also a disciple of the Crimson Fire Holy Man, and is called Fairy Fian. She has entered the cultivation world for less than 100 years, but has already cultivated the immortal golden core. Due to her strong foundation in the immortality level, she has cultivated the divine grade battle body and divine grade vital essence. She is very talented and the Crimson Fire Holy Man has high hopes for her. How about this? The Taihuan Spiritual Master is a powerful figure in the heavenly axiom. As a member of the heavenly axiom, if I have the chance to kill him, I will not hesitate. However, how can I be sure that this is not your scheme? Your true goal is to use Daoist Master Tai Huan as bait to lure me over so that you can kill me and solve this problem once and for all. At the same time, you'll let this chess piece of the heavenly Tao use its remaining power to drag my broken sword down and perish together with you? As Remnant Sword spoke, he sneered. Don't say that our swordsman still has your spiritual imprint. A transcendent realm cultivator from the heavenly Tao for a transcendent realm cultivator from the heavenly Tao. No matter how you look at it, it's an extremely good deal. What? Are you scared? Are you looking for excuses for yourself? Do you think I'll be fooled by this kind of lowly provocation? I'm not making excuses for myself. I just don't want to give you another chance to step into your trap. After Remnant Sword finished speaking, he cupped his hands at Master Zhu Zhao and said, Master, please understand. Master Zhu Zhao pondered for a moment and nodded. This method is indeed very easy to step into the enemy's trap. Although it's very easy to step into the enemy's trap, it's still the easiest way to prove your innocence. Before Master Zhu Zhao could finish speaking, Master Firmament suddenly added, However, this target was set by Tsinghui. To be safe, I'll choose the target for both of you to kill. Moreover, I won't tell each other about the opponent you need to kill. This way, the possibility of being ambushed will be greatly reduced. Firmament? The Reverend Jinzhao glanced at the Firmament Master in surprise, while the Firmament Master gave the Reverend Jinzhao a reassuring look. Qing Su is only a transformative realm cultivator right now. It will indeed be rather difficult for him to kill opponents that are too powerful for him. However, since he has set his sights on one of the 10 great prodigies of the heavenly Tao, Fairy Fian, it's enough to prove that he has some confidence in defeating one of the 10 great prodigies of the heavenly Tao. Master Heaven's voice had already become so low that only Qing Su could hear him clearly when he reached there. Your target is the youngest disciple of the Lihen holy man, Gong Hua. He's not one of the 10 great prodigies, but he's a genius who's only second to the 10 great prodigies. If you can kill him, it'll be enough to prove your loyalty to us, and we'll reward you handsomely as well. Tsinghui nodded. He planned to go back and find out more about Gong Hua. Master Firmament's gaze then turned to Remnant Sword. Remnant Sword, you're a powerful figure. Killing an ordinary Aurus Core cultivator isn't difficult for you. Therefore, I'll still set your target as a powerful figure. How about you choose Immortal Wade as your opponent? Immortal Wade has always been stationed outside, so it's the easiest to kill him. If you can find 1 or 2 Transcendent Realm friends, you might be able to seize the opportunity when he's outside and kill him in one blow. Don't worry, Master Firmament. As long as there's a chance, I'll find a way to kill him. Remnant Sword said in a low voice. Good. Master Firmament smiled and nodded. Then let's do that. As for the time, let's set it at 5 years as Tsinghui said. Although the heavenly Tao has been eyeing us covetously, we've been cooperating with the other primal chaos organizations during this period of time, which has somewhat intimidated the heavenly Tao. In addition, the heavenly Tao, the divine wilderness, and the eternal realm's interests have yet to be determined. I reckon there won't be an all-out conflict with us for the next 5 years. However, 5 years is probably the limit. Therefore, if the two of you are truly loyal to us, then do your best to kill the opponents I've set for you to prove your innocence. Tsinghui nodded. Remnant Sword glanced at Master Jinzhao. Seeing that Master Jinzhao didn't say anything, he was somewhat dissatisfied with this result. However, in front of Master Firmament, the highest leader of Master Firmament, he couldn't say anything. He could only agree. We'll follow Master's arrangement. All right, all of you are dismissed. Go and make your preparations. After some time, I will collect the information of your opponents and hand it over to you. As for your authority, I will adjust it back, but there will be some restrictions in some key areas. You must understand this. I understand. Tsinghui nodded. Seeing that Tsinghui agreed so enthusiastically, Remnant Sword naturally didn't dare to disobey. He just nodded. Then, the two of them left the courtyard. I know what you want to ask. With a wave of his hand, the space where the Reverend Candlelight resided was quickly sealed up. No one could enter or leave so easily anymore. Actually, we still can't determine who the true chess piece of the heavenly ways is even now. The only thing we can prove is that it has to be either Qing Su or Cruel Sword. And if anything happens to either of them, it'll be a great loss to our heaven's way. Instead of that, why don't we shift the loss to the heavenly ways and recover our capital first? Is it really feasible to use this method? If it's really feasible, at least we won't lose too much. Even if it's not feasible, we'll definitely be able to find out who is the real chess piece. Aren't you afraid that the people of the heavenly Tao will cooperate with us to put on a show? Put on a show? Master Firmament smiled. Even if he really wants to cooperate with us to put on a show, he'll have to pay the price of an almighty or a genius disciple. Maybe the heavenly axiom will really do that. Don't forget, if the heavenly axiom really goes to war with us, even if our chaos level is taken away, the heavenly axiom will have to pay a price of more than one or two almighty's lives. Then we'll have to rely on ourselves. Master Firmament smiled. 5 years. I've given them 5 years, or rather, they've given us 5 years. This period of time is very confusing. The heavenly Tao can use this period of time to confuse us and make us think that they won't attack us in 5 years. We can also use this period of time to confuse the heavenly Tao and make it think that we won't act rashly in these 5 years. But in fact, if you really believe in the number of 5 years, you're gravely mistaken. These 5 years will be a critical year, or even a decisive year. Master Zhu Zhao and Master Tsongzhen were able to cultivate to the divine realm and the peak of the saint realm, so they reacted very quickly and immediately understood what Master Firmament meant. Immediately, the two of them nodded solemnly at the same time. As for Tsing Hui and Remnant Sword, speaking of this, Master Firmament paused slightly. We already know that there must be something wrong with one of them, and there's at least 1 or 2 years left. If we still can't figure out who the real heavenly Tao's pawn is in this period of time, then it's natural for us to be destroyed by the heavenly Tao in the end. We can't blame anyone. Master Zhu Zhao and Master Tsongzhen looked at each other and nodded at the same time. A while later, the venerable Master Tsongzhen said, "I'll go investigate Qing Su. Even though there aren't any great powerhouses among my disciples, I've still accumulated quite a lot of power over the years. I still have the ability to investigate a single person. I'll be in charge of Remnant Sword." Exalted Master Zhu Zhao said concisely. "Well, but you have to be very careful. Maybe the whole thing is a big smokescreen set by the heavenly Tao. Especially you, Zhu Zhao. You have to be especially careful of the heavenly Tao's trap." Speaking of this, Master Firmament paused slightly and suddenly said, "How about using the reserved Taoist rhymes of our firmament to raise your chaotic level to level 40? If you reach level 40, your life-saving ability will be greatly enhanced. In addition, during the period of raising your chaotic level 40, focus on improving your deduction art. With the deduction art in hand, the probability of others scheming against you will be greatly reduced." Master Zhu Zhao shook his head. "No, I'm on the main combat path. Deduction art is an auxiliary ability. It's of no help in a life-and-death battle. It's too wasteful to use the precious chaotic level on deduction art." Hearing this, Master Firmament could not help but feel a little regretful. "I'll look for the Pavilion Master of the Divine Secret Pavilion, and see if I can buy the information from him. Although the Pavilion Master's deduction art is limited by the chaotic level, and is only at level 2, I hope he can use the mystery of the deduction art to help us figure out who the real heavenly Tao's pawn is and beat them at their own game. It's too expensive to ask the Pavilion Master of the Divine Secret Pavilion to do it personally." Master Tsongzhen frowned and said, "It's fine. Right now, the Celestial Way, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternals want to clear the area. Once these 3 organizations of chaos begin to clear the area for the war before taking over the Chaos Divine Hall, the Pavilion of Divination will be affected as well. As a result, even if they've always stayed out of this matter, they can't just stand by and watch. I believe that the Pavilion Master of the Pavilion of Divination will make the choice that suits the interests of the Pavilion of Divination." Master Tsongzhen nodded after hearing this. The Heavenly Tao, the Divine Wilderness, and the Eternal Chaos organizations were discussing the matter of working together to clear out the Chaos Temple, the Sword Intent, Celestial Vault, and the Temple of All Saints were not idle either. They were thinking of ways to contact the second-tier chaos organizations in an attempt to form an alliance to resist the three chaos organizations' attempt to clear out the Chaos Temple. Desperate times called for desperate measures. Indeed, they could no longer view the unspoken rules of the Chaos Temple as they had in the past. Then that's all for now. We'll investigate on our own. Sigh, I didn't expect such an unforeseen event to happen. I hope it's all a misunderstanding. I hope so, Master Firmament said. The three of them felt a little heavy. Chapter 458. Savage Sword status in the Heavenly Dome realm is deeply rooted, especially with the Zhuzhao Exalted Master's support. Even if the Zhongjin Exalted Master and the Firmament Exalted Master are willing to believe me, as long as the Zhuzhao Exalted Master's confidence in him, no one can shake his position in the Heavenly Dome realm. Xing Hui, who had returned to his own personal space, was not in a good mood either. When he told the Zhuzhao Exalted Master, the Zhongjin Exalted Master and the Firmament Exalted Master that the Savage Sword was a pawn of the Heavenly Way, he did not expect to be able to nail him down in one go. Compared to the Savage Sword, who had been in the Heavenly Dome realm for more than 300 years, Xing Hui, who had only been in the Heavenly Dome realm for less than 10 years, did not have much weight in his words. This was also because he was highly regarded by the Zhongjin Exalted Master and the Firmament Exalted Master. Otherwise, when the Savage Sword reported this to the Zhuzhao Exalted Master, the Zhuzhao Exalted Master would have already gathered the Firmament Exalted Master and the others to report this news to the swordsman. Then, the swordsman would kill him in one fell swoop, and there would be no chance for him to prove his innocence. The Heavenly Dome realm. Xing Hui's mind was filled with complicated thoughts. After a long while, he let out a long sigh. According to his previous style of doing things, since the Heavenly Dome realm was not willing to trust him, he could have just left. The world was so big, where could he not go? However, in the past few years in the Heavenly Dome realm, whether it was the Zhongjin Exalted Master, the Zhuzhao Exalted Master, or even the Firmament Exalted Master, they had all helped him a lot. If not for their guidance and support, he would definitely not be able to cultivate to such a level in less than 10 years. Now that the Heavenly Dome realm was facing a great enemy, and there was also a hidden threat within, if he just turned around and left without saying anything, he would feel uneasy. A debt of gratitude is the most difficult to repay. Xing Hui sighed and collected his thoughts. Although Gong Hua was not one of the 10 heavenly legends of the Heavenly Way, he was a genius that was second only to the heavenly legends. Whether it was Fairy Fian who he had brought up, or Gong Hua, the Lihan holy man, they were not people that he could easily deal with now. If he wanted to deal with them, he still had to raise his cultivation to the never-ending stage, or even the Aurous Core stage. Especially the Golden Core realm. The amount of precious resources required could be said to be massive. Before he could prove his innocence, he would not be able to obtain support from the Vault of Heaven. Only God knew how long he would need to accumulate resources to be able to cultivate the high grade, peerless grade, and even the legendary Supreme Golden Core that could nurture supreme magical powers. Never-ending realm. My transformative realm has yet to reach perfection. Even though I already have the complete concept of the never-ending realm, and can rely on the backtrack art to ensure my safety, I am still unable to break through to the never-ending realm. I have to reach perfection in the transformative realm first. In order to reach perfection in the transformative realm, there are 3 ways I can work on it. First, I have to raise the level of my mental energy. Once my mental energy level rises, my control over my true energy will increase, and it will be easier for me to reach perfection in the never-ending realm. Second, I have to turn my mental energy into void. If I can reach perfection in the void, my control over my true energy will reach an unprecedented level. Not to mention perfection in the transformative realm. It will be greatly beneficial for me to reach the never-ending realm. The third way is similar to the second way. Comprehension. I have to work on it. If my comprehension is high, I will be able to refine my true energy much more efficiently. After pondering for a while, Xing Hui finally gave up on the third way. After his chaotic level increased, he could either raise the divine art to the 5th level and cause a mutation in the divine art, or raise the backtrack art to the second level and shorten the cooldown time. This would increase the success rate of forming a nuclear fusion reactor in his body when he tried to break through to the never-ending realm. He could not afford to waste any more points on comprehension. Then he could only work on both the first and the second way. Broken Sword was right about one thing. He had withstood the torture of the Sixth Revolution sword chi, and his mental energy had indeed become stronger and more resilient. At this moment, his mental energy level had already reached the 92nd level, which was enough to be on par with any never-ending realm expert. The 92nd level of mental energy. Xinghui flipped his hands and two divine weapons appeared in his hands. One was the divine sword of the Green Lotus Sword sect, and the other was the mysterious broken sword from the ancestral ground of the Myriad Swords Mountain. The sealed true yuan around the mysterious broken sword had not been completely removed by Xinghui. The reason was that Xinghui was worried that the sword contained within was too strong and would harm his divine soul. But now, after the cooldown time for the backtrack art was over, he could give it a try. Xinghui pondered and his gaze fell on his many Dao-carrying items again. After he returned from the Lycan continent, the number of Dao-carrying items on him had already exceeded 200. Later on, he sold the Lycan stone to the Sky Dome realm and obtained another 100 Dao runes. In addition to what he had obtained from the Creation Mysterious sect, the 6 Paths of God and Demons, and the Qianquan Sacred Ground, the number of Dao-carrying items on him had reached 400. However, not long ago he had raised his chaotic level to the 41st level and used up some Dao-carrying items. In order to save his life from Broken Sword, he had raised his chaotic level to the 43rd level. His Dao-carrying items had decreased from 400 to a mere 161. Fortunately, this number was only temporary. The Wuxia Sword sect, the 6 Paths of God and Demons, and the Qianquan Sacred Ground all had Dao-carrying items with 100 Dao runes. In total, he had a total of 300 Dao runes. As for the Shenshao Sword sect, they probably did not have much to gain, and could barely be counted as Dao-carrying items with 50 Dao runes. Other than that, there was also the Dharma sect and the Giant Dragon Mountain range. In total, the total number of Dao runes he could obtain would not be less than 550. Especially the chaos spiritual arts that some of them had, they could also be sold for a good price. The amount of Dao runes he could obtain would definitely exceed the 800 mark. At this thought, Xinghui's gaze fell on his chaotic level. Buzz buzz. As the Dao-carrying items with 98 Dao runes were absorbed at the same time, his 43rd chaotic level shot up to the 44th level. After reaching the 44th level, Xinghui directly raised the backtrack art to the 2nd level. Still not enough. Xinghui looked at the remaining 61 Dao-carrying items with him and closed his eyes. He wanted to raise the backtrack art to the 5th level. By then, the cooldown of this divine art would be reduced to 22 hours, less than 2 days. At that time, he would truly have an immortal body. As long as he was not killed twice within 22 hours, no one in the world would be able to kill him. Now that I have arrived at the Hidden Sword continent, I wonder if Savage Sword has returned. I have to ask Naylan Fei about this. With that, Xinghui appeared in the Chaos Temple again and found Naylan Fei. As it had only been 2 days since the incident, Naylan Fei and the rest only knew that Xinghui and Savage Sword had left together. However, they did not know what happened after the two of them left. Therefore, they knew nothing about Xinghui's near-death experience. Even when they saw Xinghui again, their expressions did not change. Pak Hui. Naylan Fei greeted her. After a while, she seemed to have thought of something and asked, "You and Sir Savage Sword went to the Infinite Region together?" Savage Sword has returned to the Infinite Region? Xinghui did not reply. Instead, he asked another question. Yes, Sir Savage Sword has left the Eastern Wilderness. Oh. Xinghui nodded. Anyway, he had already raised the backtrack art to the 2nd level. As long as he returned to the Eastern Wilderness within the time limit of the backtrack art, he would not have to worry about his safety. Savage Sword probably knew this too, so he did not stay in the Eastern Wilderness for long. The backtrack art, with the help of the immortal body, it was almost equivalent to an undefeatable art. At the very least, unless he set down a foolproof trap, Even with cruel swords abilities, he probably would not be able to nullify the combination of Qing ruins. Pak Hui, if you return to the eastern wilderness now, the Wuji sword sect, the 6 paths of God and demons, and the Qiankuan sacred land will be tempted. By then, it doesn't matter. Qing Su replied, I'll return to the eastern wastelands after the half a month's time that I set with them. I'll destroy the divine Xiao sword sect in one fell swoop, so that I can intimidate them. Half a month later? Doesn't that mean there are only 10 days left? Let's set the time for half a month from now, which happens to be 4 or 5 days later. In these 4 or 5 days, let's take a good look at who is still restless and restless. If we can take advantage of this opportunity to completely wipe out the resistance in the eastern wilderness and establish the Hunyuan heaven sect's unshakable supreme position, that would be the best. A cold glint flashed in Xing Hui's eyes. The Hunyuan heaven sect is currently the strongest sect in the eastern wilderness. Ancestor Stone Sword and the Lifeless Sword Master, who were originally stronger than him, have been stripped of their chaotic stage and lost the Saint Art's enhancement. They are no longer a match for the Hunyuan heaven sect. As for Taoist Tianding and the reclusive Taoist Beidou, they were both killed by Yu Xinghui. In a one-on-one fight, there is no one who can compete with the Hunyuan heaven sect. You have already opened up such a good situation for the Hunyuan heaven sect. If the Hunyuan heaven sect still can't seize the opportunity to develop into the strongest sect in the eastern wilderness, it will only prove that the Hunyuan heaven sect is not destined to be the strongest sect in the eastern wilderness. Nalan Fei said with a smile. Xing Hui also nodded. The Hunyuan heaven sect's advantage over the other sects was indeed quite obvious. However, if they really fought, the Hunyuan heaven sect was still weaker than the Wuji sword sect. Therefore, whether the Hunyuan heaven sect could develop into the strongest sect in the eastern wilderness depended on the methods of the sect's higher-ups. Let's leave it at that for the time being, Xing Hui said as he left the Chaos Divine Hall. He had already felt the voice of the servant girl, Xiao Lu, outside the door again. Xing Hui's consciousness returned to his body. He glanced at Su Yuan, who had his eyes closed and was using his consciousness to control him. He pondered for a moment, and a smile gradually appeared on his face. Perhaps I can obtain a handsome reward from the Divine Grace Trading Company in advance and raise the chaotic stage to the 45th stage. Let's see what new characteristics will be derived from the 45th stage. Originally, Su Yuan's consciousness was only equivalent to that of a child of a few years old. However, if Xing Hui used his mutated incarnation technique and primordial spirit qi to treat him, Su Yuan could completely recover his consciousness. He believed that Miss Su of the Divine Grace Trading Company would not be stingy with the treatment fee. Chapter 459. Maid Xiaolu was standing outside Su Yuan's courtyard with a worried look on her face. Unlike the last time, there was another woman who looked to be in her 30s with a cultivation base of the transformative realm. The woman looked at Su Yuan's courtyard with a grave expression. Soon the door opened. However, the first person to enter the room was not the young master of the Divine Grace Trading Company, Su Yuan, but Xing Hui. Seeing Xing Hui, the middle-aged woman with a cultivation base of the transformative realm immediately became alert and shouted sternly, "Who are you? Why are you in young master Su Yuan's room?" As she spoke, she secretly waved her hand and several true energy realm and prominent divine realm guards quickly rushed over from all directions and quickly surrounded the entire courtyard. The leader of the guards had a cultivation base of the transformative realm, like the middle-aged woman. Don't be impatient. Xing Hui looked calmly at the middle-aged woman who had such a huge reaction. The Divine Grace Trading Company did not have any decent experts and the most powerful elders were only at the never-ending realm. This kind of cultivation base could be considered a threat to Xing Hui, but it would definitely not be able to cause any fatal damage to him. Even the Golden Core Realm expert from the UNG sect in the Heaven Wasteland world, Partridge, had been killed by him with the power of the transformative realm. This time, I'm here to make a deal with Miss Su Xiao. I'm afraid you can't make the decision on this deal, so please invite Miss Su Xiao over. Please state your identity and purpose. Otherwise don't blame us for being merciless. The middle-aged woman's expression was stern, and the dozen or so true energy realm and prominent divine realm experts who surrounded the courtyard with her activated their powerful auras, faintly exerting pressure on Xing Hui. If I want to harm you, given the current situation of the Divine Grace Trading Company, you won't be able to stop me. If you don't believe me, you can try. Xing Hui could feel the pressure from the auras of the Vision Divine Stage and True Element Stage experts, and his tone gradually became colder. On the other hand, the middle-aged woman considered young Master Hunyuan, who was behind Xing Hui, and pondered for a moment before waving her hand. Instantly, the Vision Saint Stage and True Energy Stage elite guards in the surroundings withdrew their auras. I can temporarily trust you. However, our young miss is busy every day. If you are unable to state your purpose for coming here, I'm afraid I'm unable to make the decision. Also, I hope that you haven't harmed young Master Hunyuan. Otherwise, no matter what your identity is, you will face the endless pursuit of our Divine Grace Trading Company. Even if we have to take out an item with over 100 Dao auras as a reward, we won't hesitate. My purpose for coming is very simple. I am here to treat the young Master of Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce, Hunyuan. Treat young Master Hunyuan. The middle-aged woman was slightly taken aback. That's right. I have a method that can restore young Master Hunyuan's consciousness and allow him to return to being an ordinary person. If you are willing, I can even guide him and allow his cultivation to break through step by step and step into the Vision Saint Stage, or even the True Element Stage. When the middle-aged woman heard this, she couldn't help but step forward and speak with excitement. Is what you said true? Can you really cure our little young master? Our young master has invited many famous experts to treat him. Among them, there was no lack of almighties who personally sent their clones down, but they were all powerless. If you can really restore our young master's consciousness, the entire Divine Grace Trading Company will be extremely grateful. There's no need to say words of gratitude. An item with 50 Dao auras. Why don't you inform the manager of the Divine Grace Trading Company, Su Xiao, and see if she agrees? If she agrees, I will make a move immediately. If she doesn't, then don't blame me for not doing anything. Xing Hui spoke indifferently. 50 Dao auras. This price made the middle-aged woman's heart sink. In the Eastern Wilderness, the Create-Evolve Mysterious Sect, the Jinwu religion, the Wuji Sword Sect, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Qianquan Holy Land, and the Hunyuan Heaven Sect all had over 100 Dao auras and thought that it was easy to obtain Dao auras. However, the Eastern Wilderness was one of the continents that was rich in Dao auras. Otherwise, it wouldn't have attracted the Create-Evolve Mysterious Sect, the Sword Shadow Sect, and a series of second-tier chaos organizations to interfere in the Eastern Wilderness, causing almost 10 organizations in the Eastern Wilderness to be divided and go against each other. In addition, many sea beasts continued to fight in the outer sea of the Eastern Wilderness, causing the sea route to be cut off. For more than 100 years, there had been no trading companies or foreign cultivators entering the Eastern Wilderness to trade for items. Under such a special environment, many sects only had over 100 Dao auras worth of items that carried Dao auras. In fact, the total amount of items that carried Dao auras worth of items that carried Dao auras added up by all the sects in the outer sea of the Eastern Wilderness only had over 300 to 400 Dao auras worth of items that carried Dao auras. If one wanted to have more than 1,000 Dao auras, they would have to be on a large continent. Although the Hidden Sword continent was one of the top medium-sized continents, and the Divine Grace Trading Company was one of the 3 oldest trading companies in the Hidden Sword continent, and had an extremely strong foundation, an item that carried Dao auras worth 50 Dao auras was still considered a loss to them. An item that carried Dao auras worth 50 Dao auras was enough to make up a quarter of the Divine Grace Trading Company's total Dao auras. I need to discuss this matter with the First Mississippi. Of course, I'm willing to wait. This is also the reason why I asked you to invite Su Xiao over. All right. As the middle-aged woman spoke, she glanced at the courtyard behind Xing Hui. For safety reasons, we need to take young Master Hunyuan away. All right. Xing Hui nodded. Before he stepped out of Hunyuan's courtyard, he had already used a strand of qi of the primordial spirit to slightly heal Hunyuan's consciousness. At the same time, he had fused a part of his consciousness into Su Yuan's consciousness, just like he had done to Su Fei in the Kongli continent. After some treatment, Su Yuan's consciousness had recovered quite a bit. Although he had not fully recovered, he had reached the level of a 10-year-old boy. As a part of Tsing Hui's consciousness had fused into Su Yuan's consciousness, Su Yuan could be said to be extremely close to him. He was not at all worried that Su Yuan would not be able to become a useful bargaining chip in his hands after being taken away by the middle-aged woman and the others. "Young master, are you all right?" Seeing Su Yuan come out, the middle-aged woman hurriedly went up to him. "I'm Su Tong, your Aunt Tong. If there's anything you need, tell me. I'm fine." Su Yuan's consciousness had recovered quite a bit compared to before, but he was still somewhat timid in front of the middle-aged woman. "I want to stay with master." Su Tong glanced at Tsing Hui and saw that Su Yuan was only hiding by Tsing Hui's side, as if he had not been wronged or threatened in any way. She immediately heaved a sigh of relief. At the same time, she felt that Su Yuan's words had become much clearer, and her face was filled with joy. "Young master, you've remembered? Aunt Tong, I feel that my mind is much clearer than before. It's all thanks to master's help that I've recovered." Su Yuan's consciousness had been heavily influenced by Tsing Hui, so naturally, everything he did was on Tsing Hui's side. Even so, Su Tong could not help but reveal a look of joy on her face. She hurriedly thanked Tsing Hui. "Sir, thank you for your help to the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. I thank you on behalf of my mistress and everyone in the Su family." "There's no need for that. I see that Su Yuan is rather faded. If not for the fact that I needed to use 2 strands of qi of the primordial spirit and some precious spiritual items, I would not have asked for 50 items of Tao from the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce." 2 strands of qi of the primordial spirit? Su Tong was slightly taken aback. As one of the higher-ups of the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce, she naturally understood the preciousness of qi of the primordial spirit. 2 strands of qi of the primordial spirit could be sold for 40 Tao runes in the infinite wasteland world. If supplemented with some other precious spiritual items, 50 Tao runes from Tsing Hui was not considered expensive. Instantly, Su Tong hurriedly said, "Sir, please rest assured that the Chamber of Commerce will not let you suffer a loss. Go and invite Su Xiao over." "Yes, sir, please follow me to the living room first. I will immediately inform the mistress to come over." After Su Tong finished speaking, she bowed respectfully. Then, she led Su Yuan, Xiaolu, and the rest to the living room. Soon they arrived at the living room. They did not have to wait too long in the living room. Soon, they saw a woman who looked to be around 25 or 26 years old, but was filled with exhaustion. The moment she stepped into the living room, she looked at Su Yuan. "Little Yuan, you've really recovered? Sister." Su Yuan called out softly. Good. Good little Yuan." Hearing Su Yuan's clear voice, Su Zhao's face could not help but be filled with uncontrollable surprise. A trace of mist appeared in her eyes. If it were not for Tsing Hui, who was an outsider, she would have cried tears of joy. After a while, Su Xiao calmed down and turned her gaze back to Tsing Hui. Then, without hesitation, she waved her hand. Immediately, 6 servants presented a dozen items of different sizes. Before the items arrived, the prompt from the chaos interface had already indicated the identity of these items. Su Xiao bowed respectfully to Tsing Hui. "Sir, please help me completely cure my brother's illness. The 50 Taoist rhyme items are here. Please accept them." "Okay." Seeing that Su Xiao did not hesitate to offer 50 Taoist rhyme items, Tsing Hui could not help but be a little surprised. He thought that Su Xiao, as a businesswoman, would bargain with him. He did not expect her to agree so quickly. It could be seen that in her heart, no amount of Taoist rhyme could compare to her brother's health. She was a woman who valued friendship very much. "I have already completed the first round of treatment. The next round of treatment will take a month. After that round of treatment, your brother will be completely healed. He will be completely healed in a month." Hearing this, Su Xiao breathed a long sigh of relief. Then she bowed deeply to Tsing Hui again. "Thank you for your kindness, sir." After that, she seemed to have thought of something. "How should I address you, sir?" "You can call me Yu Qing," Tsing Hui said calmly. It was not appropriate to use Dong Yang's identity in such a small situation. Xing Hui's and Pak Hui's identities were the same. Therefore, he directly used one of the 3 incarnations of the One Qi into 3 pure ones, the Yuqing incarnation. Sir Yuqing. Su Xiao bowed respectfully again. I heard that Sir Yuqing intends to take my brother Su Yuan as your disciple? If Su Yuan is so lucky, Su Xiao would be more than happy to accept him. Indeed, I have such thoughts. Xing Hui nodded slightly. Not only that, I have also heard that the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce is facing a difficult problem. If it is within my power, I am willing to help the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce to get through this crisis. Su Xiao heard that, but there was no joy on her face. Clearly, she was still doubtful about whether Qing ruins could help the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. However, she was still extremely courteous. If Mr. Yuqing is willing to help, then that would be great. I thank Mr. Yuqing first. Chapter 460. After receiving 50 Taoist rhymes from Su Xiao, Xing Hui once again returned to the courtyard that Su Xiao had arranged for him. The Hidden Sword mainland was different from the Eastern Wilderness. Compared to the Eastern Wilderness, the Hidden Sword mainland was far too dangerous. Not to mention the Hidden Sword Venerable, who was above everyone else in the Hidden Sword mainland. Even the hundreds of Golden Core Realm cultivators in the Hidden Sword sect were enough to make Xing Hui worried. The Hidden Sword sect had a total of 36 peaks. Although not every peak had a Golden Elixir stage expert overseeing it, more than 80% of the peaks had a Golden Elixir stage expert. Among them, the particularly powerful peaks such as the North Moon Peak, Aurora Peak, Dragon Head Peak, Blue Cloud Peak, Famed Sword Peak, and other peaks had more than 3 Golden Elixir stage experts. Just the Hidden Sword sect alone was estimated to have more than 80 Golden Elixir stage experts. In addition to the few Golden Elixir stage experts wandering outside, and the Golden Elixir stage experts hiding in the dark, the entire Hidden Sword continent definitely had more than 100 Golden Elixir stage experts. And with Xing Hui's ability, it might not be a problem for him to deal with those cultivators who had just stepped into the Golden Elixir realm. However, once he faced those veteran Golden Elixir realm cultivators, or even those who had condensed a high-grade Golden Elixir, it would be difficult for him to escape the fate of defeat. If he was surrounded by several Golden Elixir realm cultivators, he might even die. Under such circumstances, he did not have the ability to openly interfere with the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. Even if he wanted to interfere with the conflict between the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce and the North Moon Peak, he had to start with Su Yuan. There are 2 ways to solve the problem of the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. The first way is for the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce to create a big enough commotion and attract the Hidden Sword Venerable to appear personally. Then, they would use the Taoist rhymes that the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce had accumulated over the years to offer to the Hidden Sword Venerable to seek protection. However, the Hidden Sword Venerable might have thought of using 200 Taoist rhymes as a reward to ask for help from the Chaos Temple. However, the Hidden Sword Venerable did not do anything. Either the Hidden Sword Venerable is at a critical moment in his cultivation and has no time to be distracted, or the Hidden Sword Venerable has really decided to give up on the Divine Grace Chamber of Commerce. Xing Hui thought to himself, the first guess is still acceptable. If this method doesn't work, I can still choose to break into the Myriad Swords Peak and cause the 10,000 swords to howl. But if it's the second guess, no. 200 Taoist rhymes is not a small number. Even if the Hidden Sword Honorable is an almighty, he can't just ignore the fact that he's getting tens of Taoist rhymes every year. It seems like the Hidden Sword Honorable is probably in seclusion. Unless something earth-shattering happens, the Hidden Sword Honorable won't interfere with the Hidden Sword sect's affairs. As for earth-shattering events, he could only choose to challenge the Myriad Swords Peak. Wanjian Peak needs to suppress its cultivation to the Awakening Realm, preferably the Blood-Changing Realm, using only sword techniques and sword intent to fight against the sword spirit of Wanjian Peak this way. I won't need to spend too much effort to cultivate Su Yuan. With a true Qi Realm or Spirit Refining Realm cultivation, I should be able to control his body and go to Wanjian Peak. As for why he didn't choose to go with his real body naturally, It was because he was being cautious. The hidden sword continent was still a little too dangerous for him. Although there were not a lot of people who could pose a fatal threat to him, Qingsu was unwilling to add to his troubles. Great Perfection Realm. Xing Hui sighed and shifted his gaze to the Chaos Realm. Transformative Realm and Never-Ending Realm didn't require much resources. He didn't plan to keep the newly obtained Taoist items to buy anything. Instead, he was determined to raise his backtrack technique to the 5th level as soon as possible. Hence, he didn't hesitate to absorb the Taoist items and push his Chaos Realm from the 44th level to the 45th level. Buzz buzz. The moment his Chaos Realm reached the 45th level, Xing Hui felt a roar coming from his personal space. He was so shocked that he didn't even bother to check on the new technique that was derived from the 45th level. His gaze went straight to the Chaos Realm at the edge of his personal space. That's Chaos Treasure Pavilion? With a trace of astonishment, Xing Hui's figure flashed and appeared directly in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. As soon as he stepped into the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, Xing Hui realized that the entire Chaos Treasure Pavilion had increased by 3 times compared to before. The many items sealed in the walls had increased from the previous 10 items to 30 items. However, before he could feel happy about the expansion of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion, his face darkened when he noticed the amount of Taoist rhymes flowing from the Chaos Treasure Pavilion. 2 Taoist rhymes. The speed of the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's Taoist rhymes flowing had increased from 1 to 2. In other words, as long as he maintained the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's open state, he would need to consume 730 Taoist rhymes every year. This number, Xing Hui calculated carefully and was shocked. Who in the world could withstand the consumption of more than 700 Taoist rhymes in a year? Even the leaders of the Sky Dome sect, Master Sky Dome and Master Zhu Zhao, only obtained a little more than 100 Taoist rhymes every year. The reason they were able to maintain the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's consumption was mainly because they borrowed the power of the Sky Dome sect. It was precisely because of the additional income given by the Sky Dome sect that they were able to raise their Chaos level to above the 30th level. But now, the Chaos Treasure Pavilion had actually leveled up at the 45th level? Even though the number of treasures produced had increased from 10 to 30, the reduction of 2 Taoist rhymes every day, perhaps the entire Heavenly Tao would not be able to support such a consumption. Xing Hui rubbed between his eyebrows. I know that the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's level will definitely increase. After all, the items sold in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion are mainly in the Divine Realm. There's an even more mysterious and mighty realm above the Divine Realm. If the Chaos Treasure Pavilion wants to keep up with the times, the items sold in there will definitely increase. However, I'm guessing that the Chaos Treasure Pavilion will only level up at the 60th level, and not at the 45th level. If I knew that there would be such a change at the 45th level, I wouldn't have continued to level up. After a while, he shook his head again. In order to ensure victory in the War of Chaos, he had set his own Chaos level goal to be above the 55th level. Therefore, even though he knew that the Chaos Treasure Pavilion's consumption of Taoist rhymes would increase from 1 to 2 after the 45th level, he could only grit his teeth and continue to level up. Considering that he only had a dozen or so Taoist rhymes, Xing Hui was not in the mood to look at what exactly the 30 items in the Chaos Treasure Pavilion were. If he wanted to look, he would have to wait until he had collected all the Taoist treasures from the various sects in the Eastern Wilderness. He would only look at them after he had collected enough Taoist rhymes. Otherwise, he would only be able to stare at the treasures, but not be able to afford any of them. 45th level. Xing Hui's gaze swept across the various characteristics in his column. His gaze immediately landed on the new characteristic at the 45th level. Divine Sensing Technique? What ability is this? Xing Hui focused on the new special ability at the 45th level. Very quickly, he had a better understanding of the Divine Sensing Technique. The ability to communicate with special life forms in other dimensions. Can I sense and communicate with those special life forms? It doesn't seem to be of any use. After a quick glance, Xing Hui quickly retracted his gaze from the Divine Sensing Technique. The increase in Chaos level did not mean that every characteristic would be useful. Even if some characteristics were useful, they would not be of much use if their level could not be increased. Just like the teleportation technique, advancement technique, resurrection technique, deduction technique, and other skills, the divine sensing technique only allowed him to sense and communicate with special life forms in other dimensions. It was probably a useless ability like the resurrection technique, advancement technique, and deduction technique. In that case, since the divine sensing technique could not produce any immediate effects on his strength, Xinghui did not hesitate to focus on the backtrack technique. As the backtrack technique's characteristics blurred, its level instantly increased from the second level to the third level. Its cooldown was also reduced from 180 hours to 90 hours. 90 hours. That was more than 7 days. Very good. Xinghui had a faint smile on his face. There were only 7 days left on the cooldown of the backtrack technique. In that case, he could do whatever he wanted. For example, building a nuclear fusion reactor in his body to break through to the endless realm. Or for example, completely breaking the seal on the broken sword and drawing out the true sword intent contained in the broken sword to break through to the next level. As long as he could ensure that he did not die, this kind of enhancement was almost comparable to the refining god pavilion in the sky. Backtrack technique. There are still 5 days left on the cooldown. Xinghui thought to himself. He did not cultivate it immediately. Instead, his gaze fell on the supreme immortal technique he had obtained from the Fortune mainland, the reversal of yin and yang. The reversal of yin and yang was a supreme immortal technique that had the effect of disrupting one's aura. It was said that when cultivated to the pinnacle, not only could it disrupt one's aura, it could also confuse space, interfere with the laws of nature, and deceive the heavens. Although I have no ill intentions towards Tianqiong, and I know in my heart that the real chess piece is the broken sword and not me, I have been in Tianqiong for less than 10 years. My origin is a mystery, and the secret of my rapid cultivation is also unknown. Especially my chaotic level. It is even more unexplainable. Back then, many top overlords of the divine wilderness mainland fought over an item that contained thousands of Dao auras, causing the divine wilderness to shatter. As for the Fortune divine jade compared to that divine item, it is not inferior in any way. If the secret of the Fortune divine jade is revealed to others, I'm afraid that even esteemed Zhu Zhao and esteemed Tianqiong would not be able to resist the temptation. If I can't explain my chaotic level, the suspicions about me will not be completely cleared. In that case, the spiritual imprint left on Tianqiong's hand will always be like a sharp sword hanging over my head. Thinking of this, Xinghui came to a decision. He would cultivate the reversal of yin and yang to the large success stage. With the help of the reversal of yin and yang, he would be able to conceal his aura and fluctuations. At that time, even if esteemed Zhu Zhao and esteemed Tianqiong did not trust him and wanted to ask Tianqiong's sword wielder for help, he would be able to escape with his life. Chapter 461. 10 days passed quickly. During these 10 days, Xinghui kept Su Yuan by his side as he waited for news from the eastern wilderness. He claimed that he would guide Su Yuan's cultivation. Su Xiao considered the fact that he still needed the power of green ruins to completely heal Su Yuan, so she did not stop him. She only did her best and served him well, waiting for him to completely heal Su Yuan in 20 days. While he was guiding Su Yuan's cultivation, he was also trying to use the Dao rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade to cultivate the supreme celestial art, the reversal of yin and yang. However, the reversal of yin and yang was a celestial art that was easy to learn but difficult to master. It was not that difficult to cultivate it to the mastery stage where one could deceive the heavenly secrets. As for the mastery stage where one could interfere with time and space, it would be impossible to reach the mastery stage without accumulating hundreds or thousands of Dao rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade. Xinghui estimated that he would have to wait until he had accumulated 50 to 60 Dao rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade before he had any hope of cultivating it to the mastery stage. To be sure, it would be best to wait until the Dao rhymes in the Fortune Divine Jade had accumulated for 2 to 3 months. It's time to settle the matter in the eastern wilderness once and for all. Xinghui ended his cultivation and stood up. After using the incarnation art to sense the containers that he had purposely left in the Wonder Mountain range, Xinghui's spiritual consciousness directly traveled through the void. Ignoring the barriers of space and distance, and appeared on a child in the Wonder Mountain range. Immediately, a gleam of light flashed through the rather stunned child's eyes. Under the rather strange gazes of the people in charge of their daily necessities, he quickly ran off to his room. Before long, with Ching Su's entry and exit, his original body had already arrived in the courtyard of the Profundity Mountains. This is amazing. The 10th stage personal space can contain living things. I can put my physical body into the personal space and use the incarnation art's characteristics to appear anywhere the incarnation art can reach. This ability is not inferior to the transportation art at all. In fact, it's more useful than the transportation art in many cases. A hint of surprise flashed in Xing Hui's eyes. The combination of the rank 10 personal space and other characteristics was more effective than he had imagined. For example, the combination of doppelganger and tier 10 personal space was no less effective than teleportation. Moreover, its cooldown was much shorter than teleportation. The only drawback was due to the influence of the incarnation technique. The teleportation range was limited. Tens of millions of kilometers was probably the limit. Moreover, it required suitable coordinates and the weakening effect that would last for several days. As for the teleportation technique, its teleportation range was one world. Not to mention tens of millions of kilometers, it was not difficult to teleport hundreds of millions of kilometers in one go. Xing Hui wasn't in a hurry after his main body appeared in the wondrous mountain range. Although his incarnation art had reached the 5th stage, it didn't have the mutation that would reduce the weakening effect like ordinary people. Every time he used doppelganger, he would be weakened for 3 days. To fully recover to his peak state, he would need close to 10 days. Although the 10th stage recovery characteristic could reduce the weakening effect by almost half, it would still take 5 to 6 days. This was also why he had come to the Eastern Wilderness 5 days in advance. Xing Hui had arrived in the Eastern Wilderness early to pass the weakening period. However, the half-month deadline he had ordered the Wuxia Sword Sect, 6 Paths of God and Demons, Hunyuan Sacred Land, Dharma Sect, and Giant Dragon Mountain Range to hand over their Daoist rhymes had arrived early. Then, perhaps because they saw that the Shenxiao Sword Sect had joined forces with the Yuanji Sect to kill Xing Hui, they thought that Xing Hui had left the Eastern Wilderness with the broken sword. Many experts from the 5 great sects chose to forget about handing over their Daoist rhymes at the same time. As a result, when the day finally arrived, the wondrous mountain range was still deserted. Not a single sect sent an envoy to deliver their Daoist rhymes. If there was a change, the only change was that the number of spies the 6 great sects had sent to the wondrous mountain range had increased by several times. They were clearly paying attention to the wondrous mountain range, or rather, Xing Hui's movements. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The wondrous mountain range was peaceful, and the Hunyuan Heaven sect was also at peace. This result made the 6 great sects, who had been feeling uneasy for several days, heave a sigh of relief as if a heavy burden had been lifted from their shoulders. After overcoming the current crisis, the most important thing was naturally to divide the Create Evolve Mysterious sect's territory. Previously, with Xing Hui in charge, no one dared to say anything about the Qinglan Peak, a Genesis Heavenly Sovereign, occupying the Create Evolve Mysterious sect's territory. However, all signs indicated that Xing Hui had already left the Eastern Wilderness. Even if the small Qinglan Peak was backed by the Hunyuan Heaven sect, what right did it have to occupy the Create Evolve Mysterious sect's vast territory? It should be known that the Create Evolve Mysterious sect had occupied almost half of the Eastern Wilderness at its peak. Such a vast territory naturally attracted the envy of the 6 great sections. 3 days later, the Wuxia Sword Sect sent out an invitation to the experts of the Shenxiao Sword Sect, Qingquan Sacred Land, 6 Paths of God and Demon, Pharaoh Sect, and Giant Dragon Mountain Range. These sects had already sent representatives to the Wuxia Sword Sect to discuss the plan to divide the Qinglan Peak. Grand Elder Xing Hui hasn't returned yet? In the palace on the wondrous mountain range, the Genesis Heavenly Sovereign, Ancestor Qi Wu, and Ancestor Nanshan, the 3 great true energy boundary experts, hurried over. Their eyes were filled with worry as they looked at Nailan Fei. Xing Hui told me that he will definitely rush over during this period of time. Everyone, don't worry. Moreover, I have already left a message for Tsinghui in the Chaos Divine Hall. If he sees this message, he will immediately reply to us. The reason why he is delayed is probably because he has something to deal with. Although Nalan Fei was a little worried in her heart, she maintained a calm expression on the surface. Something to deal with? Didn't he follow Lord Cruel Sword to the infinite wasteland world? There shouldn't be any delays along the way. Genesis Heavenly Sovereign was puzzled. Qingsu is going to Heaven's Wasteland with Sir Cruel Sword, so he'll definitely ask Sir Cruel Sword many questions along the way. Perhaps he just happens to have comprehended something, so he's currently in seclusion. Under these circumstances, it's reasonable for him to be delayed for half a month. Nalan Fei said. Zai. Although we understand that, the Wuxia Sword Sect, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Qianquan Sacred Land, the Shunxiao Sword Sect, the Pharaoh Sect, the Giant Dragon Mountain Range, and the other forces have obviously become arrogant because they think that the Qingsu Grand Elder can't return after leaving the Eastern Wilderness. They're even openly working together to harm the Hunyuan Heaven Sect and Qinglan Peak. Once they come up with a plan to divide Qinglan Peak, they'll immediately invade Qinglan Peak's territory. By then, Ancestor Qi Wu glanced at the spirit guards outside the palace that had yet to dissipate. Why don't we take advantage of the fact that they have not formed an alliance and destroy one or two sects first? With the forces left behind by Grand Elder Tsinghui, we should be able to do it. Nalan Fei hesitated for a moment and finally said, let's wait for Tsinghui. We'll wait for another 5 days. If Tsinghui still doesn't appear in 5 days, we'll mobilize the spirit power and destroy one of the forces as an example to others. I'm afraid that by then, they will have already killed their way to our door. Ancestor Qi Wu said. They won't have the chance to do so. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded from outside the palace. Immediately after, they saw Tsinghui striding into the palace. Upon seeing Tsinghui, the originally uneasy Hunyuan saint, Ancestor Qi Wu, Ancestor Nanshan, and the others suddenly seemed to have found their backbone. They could not help but be pleasantly surprised. Grand Elder Tsinghui, you're finally here. Great, Grand Elder Tsinghui has arrived. With Grand Elder Tsinghui here, the Wuxia Sword Sect, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Qianquan Sacred Land, and the Shunxiao Sword Sect are like clowns. They will soon be suppressed by Grand Elder Tsinghui one by one. We're relieved to see Grand Elder Tsinghui here. Tsinghui's gaze swept across Hunyuan Saint, Ancestor Qi Wu, Ancestor Nanshan and the others. Since the Shunxiao Sword Sect, the Qianquan Sacred Land, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Faluo Sect, and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range's higher-ups are all gathered in the Wuxia Sword Sect, we might as well solve this problem once and for all. Otherwise, with the Wuxia Sword Sect, the Qianquan Sacred Land, the Six Paths of God and Demons, the Hunyuan Heaven Sect may have a certain advantage, but that advantage is not obvious. Once they join forces, the alliance of the three sects will be at a disadvantage. Tsinghui's words immediately made Hunyuan Saint and the others nod repeatedly. Yes. Grand Elder Tsinghui is right. We should ruthlessly suppress the arrogance of these sections. Grand Elder Tsinghui, shall we mobilize the experts in the sects? Yes. Tsinghui nodded. The Wuxia Sword Sect is unrepentant and should be executed. However, seeing that they are subordinate to Sword Shadow like our Hunyuan Heaven Sect, I will kill their 4 transformative stage and never-ending stage ancestors as punishment. As for the Shunxiao Sword Sect, they colluded with the Yuanji Sect in an attempt to kill me, so there's no need for them to exist. The remaining 6 Paths of God and Demons, the Qianquan Sacred Land, the Faluo Sect, and the Giant Dragon Mountain Range must hand over their Dao Vessel items and their Chaos Arts to make up for their mistakes. If they are unwilling, they will be wiped out like the Shunxiao Sword Sect. We will follow Grand Elder Tsinghui's arrangements. Hunyuan Saint, Ancestor Nanshan, Ancestor Qi Wu, and the others naturally did not object. Then follow me. As Tsinghui spoke, he walked out of the Qinglan Palace. Outside the Qinglan Palace, the dozens of true energy and vision saint stage spirits that had been awakened during the attack on the Creation Mystical Gate had already received Tsinghui's orders and gathered in the plaza. Under everyone's astonished gazes, Xing Hui waved his hand and stored the spirits into his personal space. This is. The primordial chaos saint could not help but shudder slightly when he saw this. Great Elder of Qingsu, why your personal space can actually contain living things? Could it be? Of course. My personal space has not reached the 10th level, so how can it hold living creatures? Xing Hui replied with a faint smile. Gasp! Hunyuan Saint, Ancestor Nanshan, Ancestor Qi Wu, and the others could not help but gasp at the same time. The Green Ruins characteristics were already at the 10th level of recovery, and the 3rd level of the divine technique. Coupled with his personal space at the 10th level, didn't that mean he was at the 23rd level at the very least? A 23rd level son of chaos. It was inconceivable just thinking about it. However, the 20th level of chaos Qi usually represented the best in the Golden Core realm, and ordinary almighty figures. Although Xing Hui was not in the Golden Core realm, he had the battle record of killing Golden Core realm powerhouses. In addition, he had Tianqiong behind him, so it was not a big deal to reveal his 23rd level of Chaos Qi. Even if someone was jealous and wanted to capture and kill him, they had to consider the consequences of offending Tianqiong. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.